Hello.
What's up?
Chilling, brother. How are you today?
Pretty good, pretty good. Enjoying my last day off.
To hope. What brings you in? Would you like to talk about something?
You said debate, so I mean, I'm always down for a friendly discussion. I don't really do the yelling and stuff, but
Nice. Appreciate that. Um, is there any topics maybe you're passionate about, or would you like to hear something I would like to talk
I'm pretty
about, or
passionate about abortion.
word? Um, so that's kind of wild that you brought that up, just because like consistently the last 3 days I've been kind of talking about that more than I'd expected. Um, I'm not against going into it for a bit, but I would kind of prefer something else at some point, fairly, just because I'm open, I'm down to do it again, but it's just been consistent, you know what I mean? That's all.
Yes, sir. That's fine with me.
Okay, so what viewpoints on it would you want to talk about?
Well, I guess we should start with um, do you agree that human life, human development starts at conception? Would you agree with that?
I recently heard from somebody in one of the other debates that after a set period of time, you get recognition of like brain activity and heartbeat at a certain period. I don't know if I necessarily agree that that's the point when it starts or the point that you're saying, right, when conception happens, right? I know both of which, like, obviously have life involved, right? One is just more signs, the other one is the initial life. So yes, I would agree, I guess, at the moment, um, initially, there's always life involved the second it starts, yes, right? I
Okay,
would agree
so
with
at
that.
conception, would you say that whatever you want to call it, that I don't know what it's called at the moment, what is it, like a fetus or something? I don't know. But would you say at that point, once conception happens, that is now a human being?
Yeah, once, yeah, sperm has entered egg, yes, I would agree that life is starting to develop in that moment. I think that scientifically obviously
Okay.
makes sense, yes.
Okay, awesome. Good. I'm glad we don't have to fight about that because that is very frustrating conversation to have when people disagree.
I feel that.
Okay, that's good.
Both points
Do
are
you
like,
think that
yeah, go ahead.
Do you believe that all humans deserve, and this is not like a gotcha, but this is literally how I think about it, so you can feel free to push back, but
Okay.
do you agree that all human beings deserve human rights and the same human rights, regardless of who they are, what abilities or lack thereof they may have, or anything like that? Any immutable characters? Would you say that all human beings, regardless of immutable characteristics, deserve human rights?
Um, the immutable characteristics being like you've committed a heinous act that you deserve to have to learn from.
No, a mutable
What's
characteristic
that
is
mean
something that
exactly?
you don't have any control over. So, for instance, being black, being 6 foot tall, being a man, being a
Being
woman. Like
like
that's what
innocent
immutable
child who
characteristics
doesn't
are.
know. Okay, yeah. So, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like, yeah, I don't think I need to, yeah.
Okay. So, would you agree that it's a human, like all human beings, as part of human rights, have the right to live?
Yeah, of course. Same difference, same question essentially.
Okay. So, would you consider the taking of someone's life, of a human being's life, without
The
um,
human being's consent.
well, not only without consent, but without proper reason. Like there is a reason to kill someone, right?
Right.
There can be justifiable reasons to kill someone, but without a justifiable reason, would you agree that killing a human being without justifiable reason is murder?
Um, so obviously in the regard of a new baby, right? I do think that I could think of a couple situations that um not even like standing, right? Or we're on TikTok and Twitch and stuff, so I think we refer to SA as SA as opposed to the R word. Can we do that for me?
Okay,
Word, okay. And
sure.
that being said, I think that this was part of one of the debates that came up. And thinking about this in the way you're presenting it in super simple point by point steps
Hmm.
from conception, right? I
Yeah,
do have a couple thoughts that have actually come to mind in the moment, right?
sure.
So I think that if uh, inherently genetics are bad, I think would be one good example.
Eugenics, you mean?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. And they're like the
Okay.
sense of like, because I hadn't really thought about this before, right? But say not even just the genetic side of it, but like the health side of it, right? Like say, uh, I want to say this too and make it very clear because my mom watches me do this sometimes too. She believes wholeheartedly, and I was raised on this logic. I want to say this before I say any other
Hmm.
opinions, that men should not decide what women do with their bodies. She thinks that this
Okay.
debate, and this is why it's been kind of hard for me to address topics in this logic, because I was raised naturally to be like, this isn't actually my choice. And people
Yeah,
would
me too.
argue that that's, like that's a cop out of some kind or whatever. But like, really, it was my upbringing. I had sisters and a mom who have all had kids, and I honestly agree with them in a lot of ways. This isn't, at the end of the day, my body. This is their body, right? But
Hmm.
that being said, that's why this is kind of hard to approach, and I will be like tiptoeing around stuff and long-winded as fuck because I was
Hmm.
just raised differently in this regard, right? But all that being said, thinking about this now, point by point, as you're bringing it up, I feel like here's just to kind of be blunt, I guess. What if that person, that mother and or father, I mean, have not just the genetics part of it that's heavy, but even like say unhealthy life choices that are on a consistent level that they may not be able to control. Let's say, because addiction is arguably a clinical problem, right? Maybe not even arguably, right? Like it's a pretty clinical problem to have addiction on a level you can't, stop, and you want to drink, you want to smoke, you want to do whatever level of heinous drug. I think you're actually saving a worse outcome, let's say, than committing to that and committing to a kid, right? Would you agree that that kind of makes sense to where we're at in this conversation? You're talking about, the life being important. Well, I feel like the life could be important if you never gave it the minimum need it meant to even grow correctly, right?
Well, I understand why you may feel like that way because intuitively that does make sense, but that's why I think it's important to have this conversation step by step, especially if you're coming from a background in which you're coming from, which is the same one I came from, where you're
Hmm.
kind of taught this mantra that just intuitively kind of makes sense, which is it's the woman's body, right? It should be her right to choose, and what if there's a worse outcome if the person is born, right?
Yeah, that's
So,
exactly where I'm at in
I
simple
but
terms,
but
100%.
I think that's why it's important to establish these fundamental, to go a little deeper, right?
Hmm.
And to actually think about what we are doing on a very detailed level. Because
Yeah.
if we just stop there and you say, well, if this person is born and then they go on to have birth defects because their mother was a crackhead or whatever, and abortion can alleviate that outcome, wouldn't we want to then allow for abortions? So if you approach it from that position, I can see why you would say, yeah, that makes sense. But when you take a step back and you actually lay out that, like, okay, well, first of all, this is a human being, okay,
Hmm.
and human beings deserve rights, right? And really, the mantra, "Her body, her choice," is not exactly scientifically or philosophically correct at all, because the baby and the mother are two different bodies. Yes, the baby may be in the mother's body, but that's not her body because it has a different set of DNA. It will have a different personhood, right? So I think it's a little bit misleading to say her body, her choice,
Okay.
because it's not her body.
The one we're talking about within her.
Yeah, there's another body in her. So it would be like, I guess a better way to say it would be like, well, the body is in her body, so it's her choice. But then we have to say, okay, but is that really fair? Is it really fair that someone else, just because I am in another person's body, does that give them the right to take my life for whatever reason they may? And if we take what you're saying, like if we actually actualize that in society, how do we go about evaluating, okay, well, this person can decide because of these reasons? That's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is just going to be a blanket right that's given to women, and for whatever reason they decide, they can get abortion, because we can't go case by case and say, okay, well, this person's on crack, therefore you are allowed to, you know what I mean? It's just not practical.
Okay. Um, I mean, yeah, like my I just where my mom comes into play in this in saying that men don't have this inherent right to talk about this as far as like taking the choice for or against women. Like I'm a grown adult. I can have my own standing on this, right? And I totally hear you. I
Mm,
feel like this is another part of this bias that kind of acts in reverse, I guess, that really messes with my head when I even debate these things, and why it's something I don't want to stay on too long, even necessarily, right, as a topic, because I actually don't have the will, bias, or uh, like want, even, dude, on like the littlest level, to have a wife and have her want to get, like, if I was with someone, I don't want to have a kid, dude. We don't want to. If I'm marrying someone, I want someone who also does not want to have a child. And my last girlfriend was on that page, and we were happy and enjoyed each other's company and stuff for however long. And it's just not. It's not a thing I personally feel. Not only am I not ready for it, but I don't feel like I ever want to be, right? So it's kind of hard for me to
mm.
even speculate on this stuff loosely, or super intensely, because it's just not an outcome I see for myself. So I'm really like a bad person to even put in on
You're
many
not a bad
levels.
person,
On many levels, I'm
but
a bad person to have the
it
debate with,
is.
right? Not
Oh,
necessarily
okay.
that like I'm a bad dude for wanting that outcome.
Yeah,
I think everybody obviously has that same entitlement to even not have kids, obviously, right? But
yeah.
for me to weigh in on it with any kind of real respect, especially someone who's not even a parent ever, let alone yet, obviously, it's just like like I never even had, there's a moment that happens when you see a kid and it's beautiful state coming out and it's your kid and your wife, and there's that, you've had talked about it with any of your family or friends too, right? That's a huge revolutionary moment for a man and a woman. And I will may never experience that. And I'm okay with that. But it also just makes me a terrible person for this topic, brother. Like, just naturally, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't.
Well, I mean, we don't have to talk about it anymore, but what I would, I mean, I would encourage you, like, just because you don't own a dog doesn't mean you can, you shouldn't weigh in on whether a dog should be abused or,
So
or
rare.
whatever
If
else. Just
okay.
because you don't have a house doesn't mean you shouldn't have an opinion about what goes on with the housing market, right? So,
Yeah.
and in this case, if this is really happening, right? If those fetuses are human beings and they deserve human rights, like we established,
Yeah.
there's a million abortions a year.
Yeah.
So this is worse than any genocide, any war that we've ever had of people dying. We got a
Right.
million deaths a year. So I would just implore, and I understand your reasoning, but I would implore you that if that is the case, right, I think that's something that all of us, regardless if we're going to have kids or not or whatever,
Hmm.
that we really need to think about and have like a position on.
Okay. That's again, I actually didn't open with this yet, and I meant to. And this is just gonna sound like deflection, I swear, but it's really what it is my character. If you'd asked anyone else who's come in here in the last few days, they'll tell you the same thing. I'm independent. I don't mind even other topics of any kind in politics. I'd love to discuss, but I'm independent as hell. Like, I don't stand for liberal. I don't stand for Democrat. I'm
Yeah, me
super
too.
much not on picking sides with things that I just don't see the best outcome for myself. So then I don't like to. It's not that I won't speculate on it and say what I think could be the best, but for me to stand with something when I think that it has a huge consequence on a negative side, I will at least want to understand everything before I pick a side, right? And then on top of that, I wouldn't want to affect stuff negatively so much that it's hard for me to choose. I'm a really indifferent person too, naturally. So this is where I've stayed out. I don't actually vote for this reason. It freaks me out
Hmm.
a little bit. But on top of that too, the other side of why I'm independent is because I wholeheartedly believe there's some level of cabal, whatever you want to call it, Illuminati, Zionist. I think that there are people who puppeteer what's actually happening in front of us, and a lot of it's not real, right? And we don't have to. We could talk about that, but I've known that since I was like 13, right? I've known that, and I don't plan to move on that regard. That there is a puppet master of some kind controlling this show that we're being displayed in Western media, right? And
Yeah.
and that
Hmm.
that part makes it hard for me to see validity in my vote. I
Okay.
I feel
So
like
then what
would be
issues do you feel like are real and that you would actually like be wanting to have a conversation about? Maybe like politics is just not really something on a fundamental level you're really interested in because at the end of the day you feel like it's like,
literally almost a show
controlled.
for control, right? And
Yeah.
and and
Yeah.
it's not that I'm not against things. First of all, let me say this: I don't think that any of it is not important, right? Like, obviously, I feel
Yeah,
like
of
all
course.
the things that are heavy, especially like what you just said, I think all of your reasoning is not profound. I think it's logical as shit and heavy and imperative that we do something about it. Hopefully, what I
Hmm.
and with a lot of these, it comes down to like what can we do in the best possible outcome, and I just don't know for a bunch. What I'm passionate about right now with politics, I guess you could say, in any of it, And as far as world stuff in general, is I'm not necessarily thinking that free trade is the move, or I guess communism would be the expression even. But I do think that there's some level of a guide that we could be implementing more that has to do with helping people more within our own state, obviously. And I don't think it's wrong necessarily for some of if invasions of other places were based strictly on helping people and getting the people out that are suffering through genocides or slavery or mass control from a human rights standpoint, I don't think us intervening and other big countries intervening who have the capability to actually help is a problem, right? But the ability we put into that we don't do anything or good and then stay in it is also a problem that should be discussed too, right? But the main general consensus of stuff not changing that we need to change, I agree is important and needs to have something done. I just don't know what it is because that really is my standing, bro. You know, I freak out about the idea too much that none of it's going to change because we are under a, some level of dictatorship would be the easiest way to say it.
Well, I was actually having a conversation about this earlier, and as you're kind of saying, and I can summarize is like basically we don't know what's really going on, so it's hard to have an opinion about anything because we don't really know what's going on. But
Yeah.
I think one hypothesis is the issue we're having if things are not like completely corrupt and like there's some secret organization, like if it's just human beings like being selfish and looking out for their own interests, like something a little bit more mild of a conclusion. I think what's happening is there's just a monopoly on the system. I think we live in a capitalist country, right, where the whole deal is to have not to have corporations have monopolies, to have competition that will drive down prices and will drive innovation, right?
Yeah.
But in our own political system, we don't have that. We have a
Yeah.
monopoly. We have two parties. You get to choose A or B, red or blue, and that's about it. And if you don't like either one, that sucks. So
Well,
that's basically like there only being two cable companies that you can choose to get cable from your house, and one is $1,000 a month, and the other one's $1,000 a month. Well, if you think that that's too expensive, what are you supposed to do? There's only two companies to choose from.
right.
So
Then
I think this is actually probably, unless those other things are actually happening that we discussed, is really just what the issue is.
yeah.
We have a monopolization. They know we have. They know that there is this monopolization. So at the end of the day, they can lie to us about the Epstein files. They can lie to us about 9/11. They can lie to us about these assassinations because once they say nothing to see here, that's the buck stops there. If both parties agree behind closed doors and secret meetings, not even like on an Illuminati level, but just on like a top secret classified information level, and they both come out and say, hey, look, we can't tell the public about this because it would do XYZ thing to us,
So
then that's it.
So let me say this, all those reasons that you're giving, and then you even being skeptical that that is the front face of it, is why the system works so well. And even more to say on the same difference is if you look at any of even the recent instances since we've had global communication to each other, look at like Maui, dude. I think this is a prime example of what kind of intervention we're talking about. People stopped people from helping on any level, not because of detrimental existential crisis happening again, but because like they chose to. There was people in an area that was safe, right? And there was people who tried to come to that safe area through extension that was also safe, right? And other people said no. You can't bring food, you can't bring supplies, you can't bring help. And the help that was brought wasn't stolen by desperate protesters or scavenger people who just showed up to close down a warehouse full of food. It was the government, right? Like all this is all factualized at this point. Everything I just said is not arguable, right? This wasn't radical people within Maui that came in and made it unsafe because they're already in a safe spot being safe from said fire or logic, right? So help and relief being stressed in this incident and multiple others, fully intervened by what people said was FEMA, is crazy as a thought, right? And there's multiple other instances where this has happened that, and again, I mean, you just said it too. You're saying at front value, the two cable companies we're picking from literally go into a door and say, hey, if it's not Illuminati, it's almost irrelevant, right? Because the face
Right.
system is so screwed, just as you put, bro. Like
Yeah.
on many fronts, it's not even just people trying to help and they can't get help. It's literally like a control problem. And the monopoly part of
Yeah.
it almost minimalizes it, I feel like. So that would be the only part of everything you said that I agree with, obviously, but I also think that there's a deeper level to that that does have to do with not just money being my point, right?
You think there's just like evil and like, but why are they doing it? Is it just because they're evil, or is it like for their own benefit? Why do you think that this stuff's happening?
This is where the conversation actually goes to why it makes more sense that there is some level of agenda. And I've always, I mean, you can make light of it or make heavy of it however you want to feel. I wholeheartedly believe that there has to be some other agenda because of the same reason you're asking the question, right? What would be the intent of doing such evil, gnarly things? Well, most of these situations literally are based around not, I mean, what would be the reason? If you're not sending help to people who need help, it's because that there is some level of money or property, just like why these fires are conspiracized to have started, right? There has to be some other agenda, which directly involves the monopoly theory, but it also involves a deeper thinking of some kind, right? It has to, because you wouldn't think you would want to take out a whole people. Naturally, on paper, it sounds crazy. You wouldn't want to take out a whole people's area and put lives on huge danger and lie about numbers in the papers of how many people were affected, even because you have a general minimum that you need to reach so that it sounds realistic to the people that you're sending the lie to. Like there's so many levels of how they are already doing it, been doing it, and have to keep this facade going. It's not just a money standing. It's a family standing or something at that point, right? Like it's got to be at a deeper root. So I don't think it makes sense to say that it's just monopoly and it's just two cable companies. It's almost like there has to be a third fucking cable company that you're not invited to, and we're in this club.
Hmm.
Like, right? It has
And
to
it
be
controls
something.
both of them.
Yeah, dude, and why wouldn't it? When you're talking about what capitalism is, and then like capitalism in itself is just a logic of trying to what's the term? If you were to paint a picture of will and freedom, how would you sell it? This is where capitalism comes back into a hole on repeat, right? It
Hmm.
makes sense that you would have to do this in order to keep that.
So when you said you don't agree with like free trade, what do you mean by that?
Well, I have a buddy who comes in here since I've started being in here the last like 3 or 4 days. He's very adamant on thinking that money is the root of all evil. He believes in it through his religious beliefs. He believes in it in many levels of it being just evil by default, right? And I don't argue with him that he's not wrong, but his solution he's saying is that we could go back to a different currency and or we could go to no currency and establish trade. He hasn't fully elaborated on it, and I feel like it's for the same reason that I don't fully agree with it. There are points in where money has done beautiful things, obviously, in our ability to innovate and make our overall changes and a lot of good things it's done. At the same time, it is still the root as to why the main things haven't changed. So I fully agree with them on one logic, and at the other side of the same logic, it's a really hard thing to fucking, figure out too, right? Like it's not just black and white, like we get rid of money and everything gets better is still not correct in itself overall. I kind of feel at this point, you know what I mean?
I don't think that that is like even real. I think that would probably lead to like mass anarchy. I don't think that's really something that can happen immediately. I mean, unless it happens over the course of a long period of time. But the I mean, because the essential principle behind money is just to have something that you can exchange for goods. I mean, we
Correct.
could go to back to like a barter system, but that kind of implies like communism, which I think would be disastrous, especially like on this level. If you have a small community of people, or you even have like a homogenous society, it could probably work. But when you have people from all different races and backgrounds, and ultimately everyone's looking out for themselves, I just don't think that capitalism is. I mean, communism would like really work.
And honestly,
I don't think it ever has.
I, well, yeah, and so I don't disagree with you. I think obviously the good things of communism, though, do seem good in their own regard, but there's a lot of negatives
Sure.
that come with it too, right? It's not that it's like an entirely moot point, I would say, but I don't think the best system is going to be one that we have currently anywhere at the same time. I think it would be a combination of multiple, would be the most realistic guess in my opinion, but I don't know what that is
Sure.
necessarily either, and I haven't given it enough thought to be obviously honest too, right? It's not that it couldn't work whatsoever. Well, I mean, it couldn't work whatsoever as a whole how it is, and it couldn't work, and it doesn't work whatsoever as a whole how it is now either, you know. but that's my point. Is I think some of the facets of both make a lot of sense, and obviously the money side of it does too. Just like you said to start this, like I agree that the money being overall good in its face value is, but it is also, with his same point, the biggest part of the problem at the high end, right? And the problem is, in that regard, we can't change these dudes by hate. It actually has to be, as far as I'm convinced from any thought I've given this. I saw a documentary called Thrive years ago. The higher ups are not going to relinquish that power.
Nope,
And so
exactly what I was
so
thinking.
you
Yep.
can't do it through
And we
hate
see
and
that.
war.
We see that.
Right. So the next
Right when
question,
we get around to like wanting change, they shut it down
right,
immediately.
so the next question that has to happen is, how do you change it in the most realistic way possible for them? Because it has to be love is the problem that people don't actually embrace enough, I think. After seeing this documentary when I was younger, it can't be done through war. They win that war. We all accept that wholeheartedly, or it would have changed through hate already. But the lie that we're told, as far as you can do this with a regime and overthrow your government, that's been unrealistic for at least 40 or 50 years.
That
They
just leads to like so much death.
well, yeah, and also, even if it did, I mean, like, make sense at one point, it doesn't anymore, is my point. We lose that fight.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
9.5 times out of 10, they are at a point of control, ready and almost, maybe not hoping it happens. I'm sure nobody wants the death, even on those higher ends. Obviously, they've got a good enough system to where they can remain on power and all that. But like, it's just unrealistic to look at, right? So I think that the only way that it changes is obviously, like I'm saying, I mean, if it's not fear, it's love. There's two emotions that govern everything, and love has to be it. And I don't know exactly what that
I agree.
means. I don't know exactly how we do it either. I'm not proposing an idea, but I will tell you it's the one that makes the most sense out of the two, because those dudes don't plan to give it up. That there is no intention of that. That's clear, right? And
Yeah.
fear isn't it?
That's the scary part. And that's like the part that kind of makes you lose like hope because you're just like, is there even anything we can do? Other than just hope and pray, and that's why I just feel like we have to kind of engage with politics because it's like, I mean, it's really the only chance we ever have of fixing the system, if it
So
even is
if he was
possible to
here,
fix.
the same guy that I'm talking about, if he was here, he would say that's, I mean, he may not say this exactly, but as this conversation goes on to the deeper points of why you believe that would work, he may say something along the lines of, that's the lie you believe, right? He'd say that's the picture that we paint to make it seem like that's the way. And in my opinion,
What other peaceful
it's
way do we
that.
have?
Well, right. You would. I mean, I don't know, bro. That's where I think the innovation has to come into play here, because this is like the end of the day when you look at it like a movie on fucking TV. It's almost that bad. First of all, it's almost so bad to the point that it is a movie on TV. How ridiculous this plot and situation is. Yeah.
Hmm.
What is what it's what was I gonna say, Niggs? I want to clarify this right. Let me just think a second. The thought that we are not doing the things that we find. Let me preface it with this, because I think is going to help me gather the thought. We are not doing the crazy big impactful things that people are super passionate about and have been the wrong way for years. Like, obviously bigger things have changed, and I'm not saying we haven't made innovation or stride forward as a population, but they're almost like the things that they're giving us over time, right? They're almost like the things that they know has got so much sway and power and the majority wants, that they're like, ooh, a piece of candy. Ooh, a piece of
They
candy.
dangle it over our
Yeah,
heads. Yeah.
exactly. And so the big ones that, like, you're passionate about, or Joe Blow is passionate about, those ones seem to still be there, as if they're coming for change, but they're not actually here yet, because then we get another
It's a
fucking
carrot.
piece of carrot, right, dude? And then we act like we're
Hmm.
doing something. Why wouldn't you promote it that way if it was this manipulative tactic? That's exactly how you would do it, brother. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't think you'd say I was wrong there. That's exactly how you would do it. So
Hmm.
that being said,
Because you got to
it's
give hope. Because if there's no hope, then that's how you get anarchy. You got to have hope that things will get better. If people just stay in line, basically.
Correct. And so as long as you keep dangling the carrot and you make them think that the change is happening, then they're complacent enough to not overthrow or do more radical steps. Correct.
Hmm.
So it's
I'm here to
Yeah.
challenge you to a debate.
Oh,
absolutely
go ahead.
you can
What's the topic?
well, we're talking about like the biggest one, honestly, in my opinion, and maybe his too, how our change isn't happening within our government. And I mean, to keep it simple, we're kind of going over all the logistics as to how this isn't changeable through war, and it's a thing like you would agree. Let me go point by point with this. You would agree that like if we were to go fight these, okay, doesn't have any interest. Um, yeah. So I mean, the same difference, bro. Like you want change, I want change. We all know that it's possible, but we're not seeing any differences happen through what's happening. So, like I'm saying, like a movie, it's almost like you need some crazy innovative. Okay, we're all just dipping out of the call. Hopefully that's a lag issue and dude's coming back. Well, it's good talk. Let's go ahead and grab some glass out of one of these chests. There we go, glass walls. Gonna make this house look amazing. That's what we're doing here today on Terraria. I think I'm gonna color these torches today. I only grabbed one. Nice. Kind of want to switch out this glass too. Do that later. Obsidian brick, obsidian brick. I think we go down to the Inferno biome and get more dope looking material for this house. Make this thing look a little bit more glorious here. I think I'm just going to keep focusing on this aesthetics here. Very easy activity. Hopefully if somebody shows up, we can have some better debates because of my concentration levels, you know? Yeah, we'll keep it simple. Hmm. No, we have sand. We're gonna change this up. This whole background looks kind of corny right now. Where's the glass? There it is. Oh, we have so much sand. Oh, no one's in here yet.
Oh, here he is.
Yo,
What's up?
What's up?
I told you. I
so
told you my friend was on. I will call you. Didn't lie.
um, I didn't really get a response from you until just now, and I totally kind of already started a stream on Are you familiar with the Politics and Religion Discord by chance? Ever heard of that?
Hold on.
You say no?
Misfall? No. I didn't get it.
Yeah, no, I was saying I messaged you to play, but then I waited about like 20 or 30 minutes and I didn't know if you wanted to play for sure. So I went and joined this other I've been streaming this Discord that it's called Politics and Religion, and I'm kind of caught up in the middle of doing that, bro. They have a lot of people in there all the time. Like there's over 70 in these voice chats, and they all just sit there and debate about random stuff.
Oh,
It's pretty
okay, okay.
and so like
Don't worry, bro.
are you gonna be on tonight
You
by
can
chance,
still go
or
and you.
will you be playing for a
Nah, don't
while?
worry. You can still do your thing, bro.
Word. Well, like I'm saying, I'm not down to not play. I want to play in the future. Are you guys gonna be on tonight or no? Like a few more hours
I'll be
maybe?
on to. I'll be on for like 3 games, 3 more games, and I have to play with my friend Edgar
Oh,
right now.
okay. Well then, yeah,
So,
we can talk tomorrow, and I'd be down to play or
all
something
right,
next time you're on. Yeah, let me know. Okay.
all right.
Cool. You guys have a good night and stuff. Thanks for inviting me, man.
Yeah, take it easy.
Nah, thanks. Dude.
Word. Deuces. All right. We have made sand into glass. Now we are going to turn glass into glass wall backgrounds. It's probably more than I'm ever gonna need, maybe. I kind of want to reshape this whole idea. Make under these cross-shaped stone etching things. I think I make these glass on those lineups specifically. And then I might be able to switch the whole bottom layer out with obsidian brick. Now I just get some more. See if I have enough. I'm in kind of like two-tone. The entire place. Oh yeah. I feel better about that already. Am I gonna have enough to even do this bottom layer? Oh, I think we got enough. Oh yeah, we're looking good on numbers here. Kinda wanna do this layer closer to that because of the tree. Right? Oh yeah. I think we feel good about that. I think. Keep this layer gray. And then this is going to change a little bit there. Grayscale that out. Liking this, liking this. We keep this gray still even, at least for now, until I get more. Actually, we'll do it that way, yeah. Yep. Are these, they're demon torches, okay. I'm feeling purple a lot, but I'm also feeling like I want to redo a lot of these. I don't think I want blue either. I think I want to go purple on those blues even. So I feel like, yeah, I got a decent amount of amethyst. Purple 10 per 1. That's a great number. Oh wow, I'm actually out of torches. Where's the gel, bro? One of these mini boxes. See what 30 purples do. Where'd the other ones go? There they are. Okay. I already like how that looks a lot more. It's kind of pink, but nice. Are those phasing between red and purple? That's awesome. Okay. It's like the torch is breathing. Dude, that looks so sick. We invest some time down in that inferno layer and go get some more. That is dope. I didn't actually realize that till now. Must have been a change. Hold that sort items button. One person.
I'm just refreshing my Discord. Shit. Sorry, things went wrong.
Yeah, no, you're good. Okay. Hmm. Oh, and glow sticks. Also, could really use a debate. Could definitely use a whole debate up in here. Yep.
Hello?
How's it going, person?
Hey, did they change up the way you create a call?
I joined the room that said to create a call, and it made this one. I just changed the name on it. So I don't think so, but like I haven't been here for more than like 4 days.
But it's when you hover over it, it's gray and it says join to create.
I mean, maybe there's too many rooms. I don't know if it's a thing though. So I clicked that and I was in.
Sheesh. Alright, well, I'm trying to figure it out. I'll go to this other room that's got a mod in it.
There you go. Good luck, bro. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing today, person?
Pretty good.
Good. Would
Yeah.
you like to talk about something?
Sure. I don't really know what the topic is, but
There, I mean, I'm a pretty open guy. I'm pretty
okay.
convincible even. There's something you're passionate about, maybe I could humor it. If you'd like.
I don't know. I don't really have a lot of strong convictions about anything.
That's cool. That's cool. Um, Maybe not necessarily strong convictions even. I mean, what about stuff you just enjoy talking about?
Oh, well, I enjoy talking about like nuclear physics and astrophysics and, physics in general.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you I enjoy like debating religion if you have any like view on that.
I can tell you what I believe in.
Okay, what do you believe in?
Do not like religion in itself. I believe in spirituality. I do not
Mm,
like reword it. I like people having belief in something awesome, like I do, right? But I don't agree with it. For me, is a better way to say it. I don't mind you guys having whatever beliefs you guys have, right? I just
okay.
I just don't like religion though as a whole, as far as the
Like
rules.
organized religion.
Yeah, the rules side of it, the promises in kept for doing good things. I think pretty basic instinct is like if you do good things, you're gonna feel good about it and you're gonna want to do more and stuff.
So
And
you like don't like organized religion, but like sort of like deism or any sort of belief
well, I
in
think
like a higher.
yeah, I believe in God. I believe
Okay.
that those theisms and those stories and those lessons that come from all that, none of it's bad. I just think that it at least with Christianity, it kind of adds a absolution or like like you have to do to get kind of thing.
Mm,
And I don't think God would want that the same way I don't think God would want or necessarily need, let's say, worship. I think want is a different
yeah.
word, right?
Why? Why do you believe in God personally?
Because I think it doesn't make sense that we're an accident either. Is the main reason, but I don't believe that he's requiring of us to respect the existence in that way. I don't feel like it would be respect, right? I think it would be like what if I created a thing is where I look at it, right? I would want that thing to just enjoy its life and prosper in the best way possible. And if it needs me, you know what I mean? Like I would think that I don't know, like I feel like that part's even kind of weird, right? The need part. Like I don't really want to think I need to rely on or in God, right? That's where I still feel like it's kind
Yeah.
of a line drawn overall. So I don't necessarily pray as much as I do manifest, and I
Hmm.
think that that makes it make more sense too. But
Do
yeah,
Do you think that your beliefs about sort of the supernatural, say like God and like any other sort of
Uh-huh.
spirituality, conform to like your sort of best, like most reasonable, like that it conforms to your observations and is like minimal assumptions, I guess how do I put this?
Does it make it make sense?
Conforms,
What I think about?
like conforms to your like best scientific understanding of the world. Like, is it like do you think that you have rational reason to believe
Yeah.
predominantly, or is it predominantly like faith based?
Well, is it faith based or is it logic based? Does that be a better way maybe to word what you're saying, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, it could be logic based or it could be like evidentiary, but
Okay.
yeah.
Well, yeah. So both of which don't actually conclude to the outcome in the same difference, I guess. Because see, either way, if you're right and I'm wrong, right? According to, I'm not. Well, are you Christian? Let me ask that first.
No, I'm a atheist,
Okay. Well, then let's say the
an
general.
agnostic atheist.
Because I don't think that the point I'm about to make, even with an example or not, is that we don't know if we're right or wrong until we die, right? It's like a moot point. You feel what I mean? Like if that
Well,
goal
I-
is that your belief gets you something, you're saying to essentially, does it have a means to an end? Is really kind of your question. Is there a proof to why I believe what I believe, right? And there isn't with any of them. Is part of what I believe, right? Like no one's actually
Well,
proving scientifically that heaven's real or that God's not real, for example, right?
well, yeah, but I feel, I guess, at least in my view, like non-belief is the default, and so you don't need a reason to not believe in God. You just need like a reason, like it's just sort of, I guess, I would sort of, say like under like Occam's razor, it's like if believing in God, is more likely given that it sort of has some it like eliminates some assumptions that would need to be made if God weren't there, then it would sort of fall under Occam's razor. But if God is an assumption that doesn't actually make anything like more likely or doesn't conform to like our observations about the world, then it wouldn't be a necessary belief. It would likely
Right.
be less likely than no God.
Right. No, I agree. Yeah, because it doesn't actually have an effect either way. Is realistically an objective standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to put it. I don't think it's bad either. I guess the same way you would probably agree, right, to believe in those things. But I don't think it's helpful at the same time. Which you could consider that's a 50-50, right? It could be bad or good to believe in it, as far as it being helpful or not.
Yeah. Well,
Right. So it's like I
mean,
don't.
even if it
Go ahead.
is like useful to believe in and good to believe in it, I
Yeah.
feel like that still doesn't like speak to the truth value of it.
Right. That's also true. Right. So again, for me, it's basically the same difference as agnostics or atheists, or there isn't like productive value gain unless you allow it to. So it can be good, but it doesn't need to be good in that way either. Right. And again, I feel like initially at my core with spirituality, I don't think it's a bad idea to believe that there's a God or not in that same way for me, right? Because I think that a lot of the spirituality stuff conforms to a oneness or point of purpose. Yeah, the same way I would use the analogy, which is one of my favorite ones without a doubt of anything. It's like you throw a rock into a puddle. If you have good intent when you throw that rock, there's a good ripple that comes off to that shoreline. That ripple reaches the shoreline eventually, and you're making whatever intent when you throw the rock. And I think that has about the biggest amount of profound scientific difference than the need of a belief in God. I think that belief in God, though, can have the same effect, and for people it does. That's why they do it. Not belief in God, I'm sorry, but belief in religion. Yeah, so I don't know. That's what I feel like, bro. I feel like most of it's very subjective, and if I'm being just as good a person as the best Christian in the world, or the most dominant religion at the time in the future, then there's nothing I'm doing negative to people, right? I'm not impeding on your religion either, so I don't feel like it hurts or makes or breaks anything. But I still feel like it's more beneficial for my mind.
Yeah, like the belief is more beneficial to your like mental state, and I guess there'd be multiple like reasons to believe in God. There'd be it's useful to believe, and that if you believe it, then it can be like helpful, and you can live a happier life or something like that, right? Or you could believe it. The reason to believe could just be like because you're raised that way, or like so, like just it's just purely faith based, and that's also like a reason to believe. And then, but like none of these reasons that people would believe things have any like effect on the whether or not like it's the like the truth value is sort of like I guess sustained. It's
Yeah.
I mean, I find most of my beliefs, or at least I try to have the reason for my believing them be the same reason that they're likely to be true, rather than believing things for like other reasons, and then like sort of that's independent of whether or not they're true. But like I suppose like, do you think that that is something that like that should be valued, having beliefs correspond with like with truths about the world, or do you think that that the other reasons of like it's good for like my mental state to believe this, or it's
Okay,
just
so-
based on faith are equally as valuable?
I understand the question. I'm gonna say that in spirit, as far as spirituality is regarded, the same way that Ripple with the rock effect has validity, I don't think it's a hindrance to believe in God, more so than I do think it could be a hindrance in the same way religion can and can't, right? Because you're at a question level now. Because I think that most people do, is the general consensus, but most people, as far as religion is counted for, believe in Christianity right now. At least that's what I think is the general consensus, right? Christianity is probably the most popular, right? So the same way that belief is the most popular, but I don't agree with all of it. I don't be a Christian, right? But the same way the belief overall is that God is real doesn't actually affect me negatively to say it does, or he does, right? Or she does, whatever. I don't gender it either. So now backwards into the karmatic thinking of things, if I'm balancing myself in a happy way, there is science, right? And there's proof in mental state in that rock ripple effect. Like the energy you put out, be it positive or negative, has an effect. Cortisol is activated by stress. You know what I mean? Those things stem from negative things that you can't handle in whatever way or conceive, right? So the same difference that it's like if God is existing or not doesn't affect me, because it doesn't. Like I said, I don't talk to God on a regular basis, and like you're saying, it's objectively a proof or not, right? One that no one can prove. But
Yeah.
that's kind of my point, basically, is that if God is real, and I bank in it with everybody else that says the same thing, the majority, even if you're other religions or whatever, most religions at least adhere to the idea of a deity, even the negative ones, because that helps them, right? In some way, even like Satanists or whatever, they all believe some level of deity is real, and that helps them guide their path within their religious boundaries. I just take away the religious boundaries, and I still keep the fact that there's something that, whether it wants me or not, or is real or not, there's a likely that something made us, I think. But, and again, that's just more of a, like, how do I put it? Like the same ripple effect, dude. Like most people think there's a God, even if it's not the same God that we believe in. I think it almost diffuses more arguments and makes less stress just to say that there is a God, even if I'm wrong, right? It doesn't hurt me to say that it's a possibility, which is more so how I feel about it, probably even more on a realistic level. I'm pretty confident there's a God, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, if like so, if God is we'll say just some being that created the universe, right? It doesn't really it's outside of like the natural world, and so there'd be like no like experiment you could run that could determine whether or not you're in like the
Exactly.
materialist world or the God world, right?
Yep.
Which means that like scientifically, there's no way to differentiate between these two models, but one of the models has an extra assumption, which is that God exists, which like would make it, I guess, like less likely under Occam's razor, or because like it has an extra sort of failing point where that can't be verified.
Explain Occam's
but-
razor to me one time before you go on.
So it's
Keep it
like
super short
if
if
two models sort of that like are trying to describe something,
Mhm.
both do like equally well at describing a scenario, but one of them has more like assumptions that are not verified. That one is like less likely to be the case, because let's say one of these assumptions has a 50% chance to be true, or we'll say all assumptions have a 50% chance to be true.
kind of following this pretty heavy. That's cool. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if and so this model explains how particles work, and it just has and it assumes this law of universal charge or something, right?
Yeah.
And there's a 50% chance to be true.
Yeah.
So that means that this model has a 50% chance to be accurate. And then if another model assumes this law and then also another law, if both of them have to be true for this model to be accurate, then now it has a 25% chance of being true.
chance,
So
right.
basically, it's just if you're adding an extra assumption, it makes your model less likely to be accurate.
Okay, so overall proving that more work in randomness means almost quadruple, you could say, even the amount of assumptions. More work in random specifically, right? More
So,
work
what do
in
you
not
mean?
proven. More work in guessing or unproven things ends up being not just like 2 or more guesses, it means like 4 or more guesses because you just added a whole nother tree of guessing, essentially, right? Kind of thing. Am I kind
Sort
of
of,
hitting
yeah, I
that?
guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a really dumb level of, okay, but yeah. Or a layman, I guess, way of explaining it. But yeah, no, I feel like I kind of get it. The
Yeah.
more,
So if it
go ahead.
so yeah, if there's no way to test whether or not like they're in the God world or not, then both of these worlds would be like both explain the same amount of stuff. And so the question is like which one requires more assumptions? And I would say that if the world is identical in every way, like on the material level, both of the worlds are identical in every way. But then this world has a has the assumption that God exists. That seems like it would fail, like Occam's razor, unless God explained some things. Like, so let's say that that the like no God world requires like 4 assumptions that just like can't be proven, right? And then, but those 4 assumptions are all explained by the singular assumption that God exists. Then that seems like potentially that could be the case that now the God world is more likely, because if God is real, then all of the other assumptions are automatically like real, or the 4 at least that God would explain.
Yeah. Do you know
but
Nick Bostrom's simulation theory? You heard of that?
no.
Okay, well, he explains like 3 different parts of a thing basically collapsing one after another to prove that the other ones are real. This like basic analogy of like assuming things aren't real when they're not proven kind of like makes what you're saying make sense in my own. Because I know of a similar theory and you could look it up or whatever, but it's like it's a theory, it's a breaking down of theories, right? And guesses essentially, or hypotheses is right. So I get what you're saying with this, yes. I think I'm understanding it, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that just seems to me like it is the case that it is less likely that a universe that has God exists than a universe without God.
Do they overall thrive better
under
because they don't have that belief?
Huh?
Do they overall like thrive better if they don't have that belief? Would be the
I mean, no, I don't. I could concede that believing in God is a useful belief that will cause better, like, more well-being for its believers.
well, right. And let me say 2 things real quick, just on that too, that I feel like correlate really well. I said this yesterday a couple times too, because this has been brought up too when people are asking me about my belief. If the Japanese, this is, wait, there's 2 parts to this. Let me think. Hello, new people. Hold on. God, now I got to gather this thought because there's a double side to this, and I can't explain the other without the other one making better sense to it. Oh God, I'm so brain farting right now. It's so bad. I was about to say that, like in the Japanese culture, when they were at war, they would go and use like sand. Oh, I got it now. Okay, so they would use the sand gardens to have a therapy after war, right? The samurai would. The males that would go out and fight, they would actually go draw in gardens and do activities around a positive therapy, be it like the sand gardens or other means of expression. They just used art, right? That was their cope to that deadly, heavy, brutal war, right? And Alan Watts had said that the religion in itself could just be art. Like you could define everything with any religion as art because it's in itself a positive thing, art is, right? He compared the 2 just on the plain level. And I forget his exact quote, but you could look this up and find it pretty easily, I'm sure. And he's just saying that the positive belief in something on top of everything else you're already dealing with on a regular level that's stressful, right? On the material level, especially, this is a good thing to have with anyone and anything, right? Like it promotes the positivity of being able to come back and thrive even though you're going through stress, simply, right? So
Yeah.
all that being said, it's like the God belief to me, like I was saying earlier, just kind of if I not even concede with everybody because they're conceding, and most people believe in God, and I do too, like I'm saying at this point, I just don't believe in the rules of the religion being like a stagnant way of saying you're either going to hell or heaven as the popular belief as well. That just doesn't make sense to me. I don't think hell is real at all, but I definitely believe in God, and I don't think it's wrong in the same way to question heaven and say that it's very possible it's real too. I just genuinely believe that God is not going to see me at the gates and go, "Hey, your life was really awesome. You really did try to help people and do, X number of good things versus X number of mistakes. And so many of those mistakes you may have not learned perfectly, but you definitely tried and you put in that effort. I don't think God locks me out of the gate for not fully taking on the belief in Jesus Christ, even if I'm absolutely wrong and Christianity is absolutely real and God is real, right? And hell's real. And I'm obviously willing to say that I'm wrong on all those things, obviously in front of God and at the gates. But my point being that I don't think he would tap out on any of us who would really just try to put in the real effort, regardless of our religion being right or wrong. That's the point, obviously. Go
Well,
ahead.
it seems like it would be equally likely to have a good God that allows people to go into heaven, if they're good, as an evil God who only allows bad people into heaven, or like
Okay,
maybe heaven, like
how do you?
which is just as likely as a God that doesn't have any heaven, or as a God which has like I don't know if you can ever sort of really ensure that your belief is going to have any like positive effect in the afterlife.
So that okay. So both of those are kind of counter arguments. I feel like to even you said you're atheist, right?
Yeah.
Right. So for you to like make that argument, I feel like doesn't exactly sound like super sensical in my opinion, right? I feel like I'm like you can't. I feel like say you don't believe in God just as much as you don't believe in hell. Maybe is kind of what I'm trying to point out. If that makes sense, not like
Yeah.
like accusatory, but like if you have no standing on God and absolutely believe with your belief system that God isn't real, how are you saying that it's an equal opportunity for the devil to exist as well if the God's real, right? Like
No,
it
no, I'm
sounds like
saying
you're
like
half and
I'm
half.
saying I don't know if God is real. I just don't believe in it, because
But
I don't have any reason to.
the logic makes
Doesn't
sense that
mean I
there would be
believe.
a hell too.
Well, what?
That's where I'm confused, I guess, right? Sorry, the hell part of it
Well,
with being
if God exists, that does not mean that like heaven exists. It's just as likely that a God with that also has heaven exists as a God that has no heaven, or a God that only allows serial killers into heaven, or a God that only allows people of a very specific eye color in heaven, or a God that only
so you're
allows
just 50
people who have
50
a name starting with J into heaven, right? Huh?
so more closer like paganism kind of logic too, even like there's a 50-50 on both for you. You just don't
Yeah, well,
care either way, I guess, right? Or
no,
like
I just don't think that there's any reason to believe in. Sorry, so not no reason, but I don't think that there is any like reason to believe in God that is like correlated with truth. So there could be a reason like a pragmatic reason, but I just don't think that there's any reason that makes it likely to be true, basically.
okay.
But
But
like
the
if God exists, it's just I feel like there's no way to say that I'm a good person. So if God exists, I'm probably gonna go to heaven, because the God that sends bad people to heaven is just as like likely. There's no way to know either way which one is real, if it is real.
right, okay, so not belief but neutral would be the better way to describe how you're between the two.
Yeah. I'm an atheist,
Yeah.
as in
Okay.
do not believe.
Well, yeah, because I don't actually talk to I mean, I've only been in here like 4 days actually consistently talking to people, and I haven't actually ran into atheists. That's why I'm trying to like pick your brain a little harder too. You know, I haven't
Well,
even.
can you, for
Go
both
ahead.
of you guys, can you believe that you can find a belief in a religion based off of evidence? Or like if you did your research on origins of religion and what they believe in, you could possibly want to believe in that said thing? Does that make sense?
I'll let you go first if you want. I can
I
go
don't
after.
I don't know if substantial evidence for God is possible.
Oh, I know. I'm making the statement because you said you're an atheist, but
Yeah.
God could be real. I guess for Dylan here, you said you believe in God, but you don't have like a religious belief. You think religion is healthy. You just don't believe in a certain religion, right? Or
No,
something.
I believe in spirituality. I do not believe in religion.
Gotcha. Okay, so more of like a Gnostic. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, my question was like, because you're just talking about good and bad, which was it's a great argument, because that's kind of the concept between heaven and hell. It's right. It's good and bad, right? So that's kind of the whole concept. Now, there's a religion that says, hell is real and heaven is real, and this is your way through. This is you're not your way through. And then you have another religion that says, well, it's 50-50. God already predetermined it. Like that's Islam. Like it's predetermined for you to go to heaven. You could be a kid and still go to hell. Doesn't matter. Like you've already been
There's
pre.
also an infinite number of theoretical religions which have like infinitely many different criteria for heaven or hell or whatever the equivalent
True.
is.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
The argument I'm making is that there's religions that will tell you like plainly, like Christianity will give it to you plainly. There's religions that don't really give you one. It's just predetermined no matter what. And then there's concepts of heaven and hell which are a bit different than that. But there's no religion that will fully sorry, there's a lot of religions that won't give you a destination. It's kind of just up in the air. That's why I would say like Christianity makes the most sense. You could go for good and bad. It makes the most sense to me.
Well, it makes no sense, okay, but why is it more likely than a religion that doesn't give you like a destination, or a religion that like does something like has no heaven or hell? Or
For the record, that statement is the one that I would side with the hardest.
Wait, sorry, go ahead. What would you side with the hardest? Sorry.
What he just said.
Oh, so okay. So, you're what he just said. You would agree with?
Really heavily, yeah. It's been
Okay,
one of the
gotcha,
bigger determinations for me too.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I was responding to the good or bad. I'm saying that is there any amount of evidence that would even switch you? Because that isn't the only way, right? I feel like you could do your research and figure out what religion makes the most sense. I feel like, but maybe you're not there yet.
Well,
Maybe it's
I think no religion makes the most sense. I think that any
Gotcha.
religion is sort of an extra assumption that doesn't need to be made.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
Also, the
Like
infinite...
what's your concept of Jesus? So like
Oh,
Jesus is real in your world, but what he said might not have been true. Is that what it is? Oh crap! Okay. Dang.
I wondered if something that who said that, like TTV? What's your name?
Yeah, he was the one just talking before. I was just agreeing with one of his statements. He was the one explaining his belief on the initial questions.
Seth is back.
Yeah, sorry, I'm running tests for the moderator. He asked me to rejoin join to create because I think they're running maintenance on it. So I might pop in and out.
Did he just leave again?
Yeah, he did.
Nice. Well, okay, I guess I could go since he's busy.
What's your idea like of hell? I'm just like in your opinion. Like I know you said you don't necessarily believe in it, but what would you say?
I'm familiar with Christianity's overall logic to the majority of it, right? I don't know scripture on many levels, and I don't believe personally with hell specifically. I don't believe that it just makes sense, dude. I believe that it makes sense that there is some level of learned lesson not being appreciated, and if the soul has validity as a thing, that it doesn't make sense that a thing that can create this magnificent level of consciousness and adaptability and love and fear and learning, right, seems to be a pretty big part of our creation, then I don't think hell makes sense. I think out of all the positives that you can derive from what life this is and how easy it is to see the beauty in the hard things and in the good things even more so, that hell doesn't actually add up as a math to any god or any creator that would create this. That's my consent at this point, because Christianity doesn't preach a bunch of negatives, but the ones that are there are extreme, and the negatives that are there are just unrealistic to anything I could think of other than a way of a lot of people just go to control, but I would think it's a way of just trying to implement better people, right? And even that negative and extreme levels are really supposed to be based in love, so that it's an easy choice to just come over and do the right thing in this religion's eyes, right? The same way it's so simple to just believe into Jesus, and that being the main thing you need to do As like it's like they almost gave you too many easy cards to be like, I'm in on Christianity now, and it makes so much sense. And just the same way, I believe the other guy was explaining how Muslim theologies and other theologies are just so much more wild. It's easier to see the same logic that Christianity is so much more valid. Those to me, and anything I learned in this life from my father that's been super consistent, is things that are too good to be true are that. This doesn't be a big factor in my belief, but it does have a big factor in a logical standing for why I believe in what I believe in, right? It's not just, you see what I'm saying? So there's not just one way of seeing heaven to me, or hell specifically even. It's more of like, if heaven exists and you've got a place where you could get to hit that all beauty, knowing, beautiful, and all it takes is you to understand the time and whatever the conditions are within religion to get there. Those conditions just seem crazy to me as far as how simple that would be for such a great level of grandeur, right? So why would there be a hell as opposed to, like, let me say this last part, another lesson to be able to stay out of hell, or a much more severe logic to be able to get a chance at least at coming to heaven? To saying a soul is damned to an eternal pit of extreme negatives, right? It just doesn't sit with me as a normal thing, let alone one that would be a real valid point to come and agree with Christianity.
Gotcha. Yeah, oh, sorry, go ahead.
What do you say for the people like say they don't want to be with God?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a double positive as far as a negative.
Because hell is a place without God. Am I correct?
Okay,
Yes.
so that's
So that's like a choice for them to.
Do you want me to answer the question or nah?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
What people?
My apology, mate.
Okay, so just don't preface the question with an answer before I've gotten to answer it. If you want to do that, just explain that you're doing that, maybe, right? Or don't give the pause moment because you're trying to ask me a question. I'm going to answer it. That's a fair debate.
Yeah, go ahead, man. I apologize on that.
Realistically, if people don't want a God, the double positive is almost like saying there's a double negative here. It's like a double positive there. If people don't believe in God and they were right, and they just go into this vac of reset, and they believed in more of, like, say, a karmatic reincarnation approach, then they're not wrong to find happiness and validity in that the same way you do in your logics of Christianity, right? It's not a problem because at the end of the day, they're just believing in something and they ended up, say, again, hypothetically being right. They're just trying another life out on what I find to be beautiful, this earth. But if they're also wrong, they get to go to heaven, and then maybe that same consequence is the outcome. There's a lot of talk into like how we just come back and do it again, even though we made it to heaven because we wanted to. Some think that like the all-knowing, all-beautiful heaven is actually just like boring, essentially, would be the next emotion, at least equated. Or like maybe you're in a place where you're just at a new level of servitude, if Christianity's right, and you're sitting there being an angel and trying to do things as if like you were, what's his name, Michael, I think? The angel of travel, right? Is that the... but like there's, you know, maybe you have more divine purpose, right? And you have more say so on prayers and logic around that. But that's maybe not what someone wanted either. And they did want that, no God. They just get a reset. I feel like, again, both of which, if they're wrong or right, isn't a terrible thing. It doesn't mean it has to be eternal damnation.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm long-winded because I haven't been debating consistently with anybody. I want to say this real. I just haven't. I'm trying to make my points as understandable as possible, but I do speak kind of heavy in analogies or metaphors to explain my points thoroughly. So I apologize if that's heavy to go into.
No, you're good, man.
Word.
I do apologize about that earlier.
No, it's good. You're good. I see the logic in it. I do it to people too. You know, it's kind of a give and take thing.
Okay.
Okay, so the reason why I asked, when was it Sith that I asked the question to in the beginning? I can't remember who was Sith. I think it was.
You asked both of us initially, and I let him answer first. So I think what happened.
Gotcha. Okay.
But he answered first.
So I mean,
yeah, right.
Yeah, I gotcha. So the reason why I asked that question was to kind of preface it in a way where if you're, you know, let's say I was an atheist, so I wasn't a believer at all. And, you know, I'm trying to, you know, figure out what my beliefs are. I'm trying to explore if I even have beliefs in the first place, right? Where are you going to start? Well, you're going to look at the religions we currently have, right? Or the religions that we have historically, right? And you're going to do your evidence. You're going to do your research. You're going to figure out, you know, what are these religions saying? What do they mean? You know, what kind of theology? Right? All these things are super important to the religion. What I'm saying is, I've set up these questions to ask that because is it wrong? I mean, if you're gonna start some kind of spiritual belief, you wouldn't start with your own understanding. You would at least start with the world religions first, because that's the basic spiritual understanding of civilization, right, and history.
Yeah.
So you would study that. That would make the most sense.
Yeah.
So
No,
I'm asking is what I'm asking you is it possible to then do your research and figure out if there is a religion that does make the most sense based off of all the evidence? You know what I'm
so
saying? Is there any amount of evidence for you?
I feel like you could avoid this whole thing by asking, were you
Yeah.
raised Christian? Because I was, like, I know
No,
a lot of
no,
Christ.
I was radically saved. Yeah, I was radically. I didn't have a Christian upbringing at all.
No, I'm saying that you could avoid your question to the person you're asking this to by asking if you were ever Christian before. Like you're asking that question to me without just saying that is the point I'm trying to make. I was raised Christian. I do know Christian belief. I do know Christian logic. I was in churches up until I was. Then actually, technically, you haven't clarified what your belief is this whole time to be totally accurate. Are you Christian?
Yeah, I'm Christian.
Okay, cool. So I did kind of assume that, right? But like, I was raised Christian, but my grandpa was in church every single Sunday until he died. My grandpa's the one who got me into it initially. Where my problems came from is, I'm going to assume your next question. I know the logic. Do you want to hear what my problems are?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The fact that I went to at least 10 different denominations, over 20 different churches, and every single one of the pastors directly or other, I guess you could say higher ups or officials, right? They all, in verbatim, said aliens are demonic when I would ask about them. At least, I would argue at least 15 to 18 different churches and at least 10 different denominations or variants of branches within Christianity. Every single one I went to within my area and other areas near my area, I guess, like within the same state, all of them had the same consensus. Aliens are not good. They're bad, they're demonic, and there's no chance there's anything different. Most of the basis of scripture that they would call out to this was the war within the heavens or something along those lines, but they wouldn't ever initially go deeper into why. They basically, from after I looked it up, was one sentence that said there is a problem after you go to, I guess, space or zero gravity, someone kind of elaborate on. But that was one of the first things that started to make me question more. As well as, I've kind of always had this inherent belief that, like, it wouldn't make sense hell is real. That's always been a strong one, especially in how it's described. Same way I just described it earlier. I don't feel like it's necessary for a God that would create such beauty to be like, this is the opposite. And you can, there's I guess an argument to say there too, where like if you have all this beautiful, wonderful, and then you even offer more levels of beautiful and wonderful, that you deserve, if you can't even do our basic thing, to go to this place that's terrible because you failed that one job. But I feel like, dude, I would rather test the difference, and I would rather be wrong than believe that that's even accurate, because there's no way it's true. There's no way hell is real or has any validity. I'm very strong on that point. The other sides of this too are the moral logics that have always freaked me out. There's commandments, and I don't know them verbatim, word for word, but I have, the thou shalt not covenant, thou shalt not kill. There's like the I believe it's called the golden rule. That's not a commandment, right? There's a lot of stuff in there that's good and makes sense, but there's not a lot of stuff when you take it onto a more realistic basis with each individual one that makes sense as the things you may not do intentionally through force. And that's always kind of been a thing in the back of my head. Like, I really may kill somebody who, I don't have a kid, but I have nieces and nephews, and I'll tell you what, dude, if I witness some heinous acts that I just had to walk into, like any other good Christian man might, would take the life of somebody, of someone who really hurt their kid, right? And it wouldn't be a thing that they could go and pray to God to. They would do it inherently with a snap, and have in the past, right? Someone's damaging your family on a level that's traumatic enough, you're not going to think. You're just going to act in defense of that child. How easily that scenario could be played out in multiple different ways where you do end up taking the life of another person is just super realistic even, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't argue. I would agree with you. Yeah,
So there's even exceptional rules that come into play with this that have been hypocritical overall. There's people within the Bible that have killed, that have been told within the scripture that they've got passes to heaven. From other people I've heard. I don't know these scriptures myself directly, but I mean, do you know any? Am I wrong? Is there some situations where people have killed but then given the
No,
pass to heaven
like
within scripture?
correct, but yeah, correct. There's a lot of killing in the Old
But then
Testament.
there's a
But
commandment that
you have
says, "Thou shalt not do
yeah.
that." Right? That's the point. Go ahead.
Right, correct. But you gotta right, correct. But if you're defending your family or you're defending your nation or you're onto war with your nation, which death is gonna be involved, right? If you're, maybe you're that guy defending your castle and you kill 20 people, you're a good warrior, right? I don't think you broke the commandment. That would be what a Christian would tell you. That doesn't mean you broke the commandment. Thou shalt not kill is something you kill with demonic intent, right? Or you kill with evil intent. Maybe it's a gain, maybe you hate the person, maybe you just like doing it, things like that. So I
So
would agree with you that
go
yeah,
ahead.
if you killed somebody to defend your family, you're not breaking the commandment.
Right, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm definitely willing to concede in that logic. I don't think that. I don't know. I feel like the exceptional and the absolution, or not absolution. What's the word? Ultimatum of it is still the same difference. I'm kind of at weight with something that's already horribly heavy to deal with and traumatic for me in my life. Could end up being resulted
Oh
in a locked cage for the rest of my life or an extensive amount of time
yeah,
if it had happened, right? Regardless. And then on top
yeah,
of that, it's like I'm also having a whole nother tier of judgment. That whole time I'm rotting in this cage, I've got to be like, hey, did God accept this? Am I going to be good enough to not go to hell for that choice? These weigh-ins,
gotcha.
these thoughts karmatically and in a vibrational sense, which is where I have a lot more of my beliefs stored at this point with spirituality and de facto
Yeah,
energy. I told the other dude before you guys joined, if I throw a rock into a pond, the same way we're talking intent, I throw that intent into the rock, into the pond. It's a good intent. The ripple hits the banks eventually. The ripple spreads across all the pond. That intent can be bad or good. Yeah. So at some point, they're
yeah,
like the therapy within God in that regard, even to know that there's a hell that is talked about and owned, and that part is just never even questioned within the community that it could be man-made. Even it just doesn't sit with me, dude. I've got a whole nother level of judgment that I don't particularly think is any kind of beneficial to me, unless I'm wrong and I go to hell when I die. Like there isn't a point otherwise, right?
well, yeah. You keep going back to hell. I feel like that's one of your biggest ones. And to be honest with you, I mean, hell is it's very limit. It has a very limited description in the scriptures. So that's why I was telling the other guy in here that he's right. It's described as separation from God, and what we can take from some of the details we get from some of the scripture, and it's very limited what we have. So, and I know people probably made it out to be different things too, with movies and narratives and other stuff like that, and just followers of the church have kind of changed it a bit, but it is of limited description, so but I get it. I'll be honest, when I first found Jesus, there was a day, it was like the second or third day, it was like my second or third day in following him. I had like an anxiety attack because hell freaked me out, like it really did, and it didn't make sense to me either, and I freaked out, so I had like an anxiety attack for like 4 hours about it. And then it just kind of felt like I just calm out of nowhere. It felt like God was telling me, just trust me. Like you're freaking out too much. Just trust me. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But can I address your first point too, as well?
Yeah, of course.
You also said that you said aliens or demons, and that was kind of your start. I mean, I think that's a weak. I feel like that's weak because aliens being demons, that's not right or wrong. I would say they're not neither right or wrong. We don't know. I mean, I think we have to expect further. I think it can make sense either or. I think can demons manifest? If demons are real, can they manifest as aliens? Sure. I don't know,
Well, yeah, you got
but
to take on the belief
I
that
don't. I don't think it's.
demonic possession is real to say that they couldn't demonically possess an alien. And Coral, I see what you're saying, you know what I mean, but they could possess an alien, right? So I just don't. I know enough information to
I,
feel that has validity, and it's in the Bible too as well, that demons possess people, and there's countless cases that you could go and look into. how much of that. So if an alien was this like super superior intelligent race, and we have ways that we're dealing with it with religion that also kind of back up a lot of those stories, to say that they're just also susceptible to that possession doesn't feel realistic. One, at the same time, potentially, I don't know that they're even real, just as you said a second ago. But two,
Yeah, I was.
the same
Yeah,
way
yeah.
that hell is limited in the scripture is the same way that you have a faction of people who are devout in saying these beliefs, even with limited informations and understanding, so much so that they have to invent interpretation through scripture, right? They actually keep reinventing it to the point where there's a second book of better understanding for a newer generation, right? On top of that, it's like we're explaining away things that are hugely important with the little explanation we get quickly and in small portions in the book, like hell. But we're also doing that with other external things that you yourself admit, and many other Christians would too, if they were to get past the demonic thing. In my experiences, would also say the same thing and be more nonchalant about. They would be like, I really don't know anything about aliens, and I can't say the difference, right?
Yeah.
So it's like at the end of the day, there's a lot of trust in things that are explained thoroughly, and there's a lot of not explained things that we're just okay with going into. Well, we don't know, so we should just move on. But like again, that doesn't bounce back in these new beliefs. That doesn't bounce back in the same way on these positives and guarantees. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but there's I get what you're saying, but I don't think it's far fetched either for a guy like me, like a Christian. Now I had a subjective experience. I understand, so I can't just. And not everybody has an experience like this who comes to God, so it's very subjective. So I have to respect that. But what I'm saying is, if you just trust basic history, right? You have a guy who objectively did die, named Jesus, who made all these claims, and I don't think it's far fetched for someone to say, well, this guy made some really audacious claims, and he proved it and backed it up, and I believe there's sufficient evidence for that. So I'm like, you know what? I would believe in what he said, and everything that Jesus had said, not just like the spiritual stuff. So I know that because you don't believe in the spiritual stuff and the religious stuff about it, but even putting all that aside, just how smart he was and how thoughtful he was and how people used a lot of the rhetoric he said today, because he was very smart, a very, very smart teacher at the time. I think, there's a lot of respect. I don't think it's far fetched for people to believe in a guy like that. I don't think so.
Two things, right? Buddha did.
Yeah.
Buddha also is still very much respected in the same way. I'm not Buddhist, for the record. I still claim that to be a religion like they would, I would assume, or most would. But he also had a lot of really great teachings that ended up being very similar to what I respect about spirituality overall. And he was also a really influential guy that's documented to exist. Two, he's also newer. And in that regard, I personally have a hard time taking 1,000-year-old plus advice, because none of us were actually there. And the truth of how much better it would be if, say, my guess is right, and this is all made up in order to, not necessarily, like I said before, just control, but to inspire a better human, which relevantly makes sense, right? But now a lot of people would argue and say that a lot of this is to control and not actually fully alleviate people with freedom, right? It's kind of got a double side to that easily. It's also a thing won by wars. But I don't trust the level of stuff I can't understand. You could literally not prove me otherwise in saying that Hitler, in the same way, was real or a story, because you weren't there for it. And I know someone says their great-great-grandpa was there, but in the same difference, that great-great-grandpa in this generation that was alive for it, maybe there's probably however many quote-unquote number of people left from the Holocaust. Those people that said that they did lived it and experienced it, there is also an argument to say that you couldn't definitively say those people weren't conditioned by a guy named Schittler, right? And that was actually his name, and then they changed it through manipulation or whatever level. Like there's so much that's a question after that generation that you don't even know is true, right? It's the history part of it that freaks me out.
I heard you make this argument last night. Actually, I heard you make this whole argument last night. I think he said the same thing. Yeah, I won't lie. That is the weirdest argument. Of course, you're not there for any event. Of course, everybody knows that. We're not there to see Shakespeare's revolutionary writings. I'm not going to be there to prove that it was actually him. But through historical evidence and through forensics, we know who Shakespeare, the man of
Well,
Shakespeare is, right?
okay,
That's with anything or any event in history.
yeah.
So I want to say, oh, I wasn't there, so it could or could not happen. It's like, no, that's weak. If the World War II with Hitler and the Jews, it's not just one source we get. He took the Jews and killed 3 million, 5 million of Jews. It's not one source. It's multiple sources, multiple countries, multiple people, millions of troops
Okay.
dead.
Let
Like
me.
it's for you to sit there and say, oh, I wasn't there, so it's kind of flimsy. Like, dude, that's
Okay,
I don't know
so
what
hear
that
me
is.
out.
That's
Hear me
not a-
out. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Yeah.
All right, breathe a little bit first.
Yeah.
Okay, calm down.
Yeah.
This isn't the full point of my proof.
Okay.
This is a very recent
Okay.
account of a situation that happened within literally like what, 150 years, 100 years? This was a very recent thing, okay? And I get where you're coming from with what you're saying, and I especially respect where you're coming from with what you're saying because you're a devout Christian and you like your belief and you respect your belief. So I respect that in itself, right? I commend it even. I don't believe it, not just because of the fact that Hitler may or may not have had other levels to his story that were real or not, which was mainly the point I'm making, right? Not necessarily that it didn't happen and it's just a guaranteed thing, but more so the fact that like it's not just that the story is that it wasn't a horrible thing that didn't happen that we don't remember that was real. It's more so like even things like the numbers, things about his story, things about the books that aren't actually credited today that we don't know what was actually being deleted for sure by them. Some people say it was like some level of propaganda that involved history within them, but some people say it was gender dysphoria logic and they were deleting transgender and ideologies around homosexual movement, right? So this is where the nitpicking of that situation kind of comes into play with how history is written by man, right? That's where my argument's genuinely at. Remember when I said Schindler a second ago, and we don't know his actual name to even be Hitler? That was kind of part of the joke of that part of the understanding of it that we don't have. You understand now?
Right, but
It's
yeah,
not
but
that
you made it about
Go
yeah.
ahead.
I was okay, but you said about Christian when you started your statement. You said you made it about Christianity, which that was false. I didn't make it about Christianity. I was just talking about history in general, because if
And I
that's
am
the logic
too.
you're going to use, you can use that with any history in
Correct.
history. You can use it with anything,
Yeah,
any
and
important
so
event.
and so you
So
take you
then,
go ahead. Go. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I'm just saying, like, okay, so for example, right? Here's a good example of this.
Yep.
We're using Hitler as an example, so I'll do this, right? Do you believe that Hitler objectively existed?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Do you believe he objectively killed a high number of
Oh, of
Jews?
course. Yeah. Of course.
Okay, and he had concentration camps objectively.
Yeah. All those things. Got it. Yes.
Okay, fine. So, okay, that's the point I'm making is that yes, in history there are probably little details, numbers. Sure, we can make the
Little
argument there, but I'm
details is
saying,
where my point is emphasized on. I don't think little details would matter about a
okay,
big
that what?
matter like that.
So
I
maybe
think
you
we would
mis.
know
So
everything
maybe you
documented.
Yeah, that's what I'm not talking about. I'm talking about just objective historical truths, things that you have that you know to be true because of the evidence that you have. That could be with any part of history. So I would disagree with you in the sense. Now you probably now I don't know if we changed our stance, but I'm just saying that there are things in history that are objectively true, and we don't have to argue with.
So you may feel that way, which is fine and allowed, but this point standing that I'm trying to die on this hill on, what's happening right now,
Yeah.
I think is a better way to maybe convey you my opinion in history is being rewritten on some basis. What's happening right now with statues that are erected already? Old statues, big statues that we have. I think it was a year ago, maybe or less. They were talking about there's rights movements trying to get rid of these statues. Do you remember this? I mean, I think this is within this
Yeah.
year. There's people who are actively trying to destroy historical figures that are up and
Yeah.
erected today.
Yeah, of course.
So now, tell me in 100
course.
years, are we going to remember that statue was destroyed or not?
Well, I would say yeah, only because of the era we live in now, where everything's like lives on the internet, dies
Fair.
by the internet, but it's still there. It's like a
Fair.
stamp. But yeah,
Fair. But does that mean that it's possible or not that these things are trying to be rewritten? Not even by the government
yeah,
in
but
this
that's not even.
situation.
I get what you're saying, but we just already agreed that I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
I'm talking about history that's objectively
Okay,
true,
well, I'm trying to
like
make
big
a
things that
I'm
we
trying to
know
make a
to be-
point about that objective truth within 1,000 years now, as opposed to 100.
But that's I'm comparing. You're comparing a statue by a group of people who just don't believe him to be
No, I used Hitler
morally
first.
good,
I used Hitler
compared to like a
first.
Hitler.
Yeah, exactly. And then I
Okay,
used
that's what I'm
that
saying.
as like a means of saying that history in the textbooks from teachers who study and learn to teach history to high school kids will tell you that the history books were different within a 30-year period, 20-year period. Those books themselves that were
I'm not
taught
arguing that.
to innocent people who don't have a concept of left or right yet, right, are learning, this is the main thing in their brain, a different story than they did 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, no, but I'm not arguing that either. I'm arguing the fact that
Okay.
like when you
Go
discover
ahead.
anything in history, right? No,
Yeah.
but listen to me.
No,
Listen,
I am.
listen. Because I don't think you're
I'm
gonna
sorry.
hear
I'm
me.
actually
When
I'm saying okay, I really am shutting up to listen. I'm not trying to have another point ready. I swear. Go ahead. I promise I'm listening.
Okay, no, I was just making a point that if anything is discovered in history, right? If we dig up something in Egypt where there was a claim where maybe one ruler battled another ruler and maybe they lost or they won and it was a great battle, there were many losses, and maybe there's a date behind it, right? You got to understand that those things are dug up, they're not taken at face value like you said. People are, oh, this must have happened. No, there's forensics that goes behind that, right? They try to see if there's other sources, if this connects well with everything else found. Like there's forensics, like real forensics put behind these things. So what I'm saying is, yeah, in the new era, everything's recorded now. Even Hitler in World War II is pretty much recorded, right? So we have a lot of that stuff. But even in old history, that's always how we got history, right? It was written down. That's always been how it was, and that's how you figure out how events happen, what happened, right? It's looking at all the sources, looking at how great those sources are, how valuable those sources are.
Okay.
They come
Yeah,
closest
I
to
feel like you made your
eyewitness,
point.
like.
I'm,
Okay, sorry. I know I'm over talking. That's it. That's all the point I'm making. Is like there's things that are objectively true in history because we have the forensics.
So, I I don't know if I need to pull up a source to convince you, but I could. I'm giving you rough examples of now how my opinion makes sense, and I'm giving you rough examples of how 100 years ago the details of what actually happened with Hitler you couldn't tell me, and it was a historically massacre, crazy big event. That you don't know what else was happening besides him killing Jews in a box. You've stated that clearly. All the main things about that event were recorded accurately. But you still can't prove to me that that's even actual numbers of the amount of people who died. You still can't prove to me that there was an alternative reason to hide another alternative for why we did this fight at all, other than the death of those people, which I would argue that there's probably a bigger reason in Hitler's mind than to just cleanse a society, as it's simply put, right, and make his race dominant. I would argue that there's probably a bigger reason than just that one. There's maybe another story to that. But again, there's leaks of that and there's ideas of that, but those don't have as much credibility either. I'm basically speaking on things that I'm guessing on too, right? My point of the speculation of history is that was not that long ago, and it was a genuinely historical, crazy moment that everyone knows when they think of the name, right? Now
Yes,
add
agreed.
okay, then let's add this little experiment to kind of create the difference of what I was saying about the statues now being pulled down and history being rewritten today. When you're in a room and you play in kindergarten, you may have done this. The secret, I'm going to say apple to the kid next to me, and we're all going to sit in a circle. And when it gets all the way around the circle of people, it turns into fucking orangutan, dude. It doesn't even go to orange. It goes from apple to banana,
You're
and
saying
that word to mouth.
history is telephone, dude. Yeah. No, I
Okay,
would
so
disagree. Like
okay, but the historical scripture that you're talking about was literally converted into a man-made, because this is where the argument actually started initially, or why we're debating history at all, was that I was saying the Old Testament and the New Testament are historical things, right? Those actually happened at two different points where the New Testament became written by man over the Old Testament's initial scripture. And this is a huge debate within y'all's community in itself. Is the Old Testament right or is the New Testament right? People have been going on about that theology all the time, and the history in it, and the interpretation in it. Those things to me are like the same difference as that sitting in a circle in kindergarten and saying apple to the kid next to you until it comes all the way around the circle. It's like you don't have a definitive proof other than saying these main historical facts were accounted for, and those main historical facts say good things, so I
Okay,
should just
I'm back.
devoutly believe in it.
Thanks now.
Welcome back. Also, the other guy did have a question too, and I think we're going to have to maybe do agree to disagree on the historical logic. Probably be the best outcome here, because I don't agree with you, and I don't think you agree with me on the historical side of the difference. Not to mention, the other logic that we all started with too is why we I think it was him, you were asking him and me, could we be convinced on the rules, right, of Christianity? Right? Could we be convinced to believe another religion based on all the other religions being not as important as Christianity?
No, I was actually asking, like, could you, because not every religion's saying every religion's asking you to believe in them, right? They have the truth, right? Every religion's claiming a truth.
Yeah.
So just based off of that, right, you would have to choose, right? Who's telling the truth? So then you would figure it out. You would do your evidence, or you would do your research and get the evidence, figure out who's telling the truth here. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and he made another response which I forgot now, but the first one he had said before the one I said I profoundly agreed with, it was basically it doesn't have any effect, and it was basically he doesn't have any effect. It doesn't affect him whether that's right or wrong, right? Whether the other religions are right or wrong, just like his belief doesn't affect him in atheism, which I don't believe in, but I agree with that logic, right? The same way he was saying, I believe, there's a million different religions with a million different outcomes or rules or sets in logic, right? This is where my logic comes backwards into play again, where I'm like, I don't think it's wrong to poop on other people's beliefs, and I don't think it's right to necessarily push theirs either. Well, not necessarily. I don't mind. I get people wanting to convert other people to their logic and say theirs is better or the best or whatever. That's fine too.
Well, they're told to.
Yeah,
they're told to.
It's
That's
part of the
what we're told
scripture,
to do,
even,
so.
right? So, and
Yeah.
I don't judge that either because it's part of the belief system, right? But what I feel like at the end of the day is it doesn't affect me, dude, because I get the same beauty of what the beauty parts are of Christianity without the negatives that I just blatantly don't agree with. But again, I feel like Mr. Man wanted to say something. I don't want to like consistently go if he's trying to get some points into.
No. I just said he left again. Sorry
No.
for the background. My girlfriend is talking.
Word. Okay, you're good, bro. You were trying to ask something earlier, but whenever you're ready, I'm not against hearing anybody's stuff. That's all I was saying.
No, I think part of it, my icon glows, and it's just because my girl is talking in the background, so
Word.
I'm just muting myself.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. No, I mean, I'm down to talk with whoever. Whiskey, do you want to say anything? You just got in here a bit ago. Okay. Well, yeah.
Who, me?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, bro. Do you have
I'm
anything?
chilling. I'm just, I don't know. I don't know what y'all, like, where you're at in the conversation, so I don't want to just jump in,
Well,
take over and shit.
no, you're good. You're good. I think. I
Absolutely
mean,
welcome to talk, bro.
Whiskey, do you believe that? Do you believe that there are things in history that are just objectively true, that they really happened, and yeah, they're just objectively true?
You mean events that happen?
Any event, yeah. I mean, just any historical event. If we have enough evidence on said historical event, can things be objectively true in history?
You realize that sounds like a rhetorical question, right?
Yeah, that's a good question, but objectively, no. I think it could be plausible, but not a fact, though.
Gotcha. Well, there you go. You got another guy who believes what you believe.
Well, I mean, I can make a lot more arguments other than the people today are even trying to rewrite history, dude. I mean,
No, I seen that, and that's me observing that. I'm just saying, can things in history be objectively true? That's all my question is. And you're saying no. Like, people are saying no, absolutely not. I'm like, then I don't know how you would trust any history from your perspective. That's
well,
I
don't.
It's a very.
I don't.
Okay. Well,
trust
then
the
you're
main-
stuck in a bubble until you try to figure. I mean, because history is important. You just cancel it out of your life.
Why is
It's very
history important?
You never heard the phrase "history repeats itself"? It's a very important phrase.
I mean, that actually adds validity to my argument and not yours. If you want me to explain why.
How so?
Why would history repeat itself? Is it because we knew it?
No, history repeats itself because events happen over and over again, kind of in the same fashion too.
Okay, so then let's take the other devil's advocate standing here, right? We know history did it, and then we did it again. Why?
Well, things happen. I don't think we do it because we want to do it. I think things happen, and it's unfortunate, but you see a downfall of another nation, or, the ways that they fall might be different, but we've seen it happen in history. nations last for thousands of years, you know. So
So if the
I'm saying
race,
history can repeat itself. It's a very important thing because we could take history and learn from it.
so
It's
is
like
that
something that's very important.
okay? So two questions now. If history is
Yeah.
repeating itself because we're doing a different fall of the same, if we're doing a different thing that's a super big negative. Sorry, if we're doing the same big negative a different way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same
Mm-hmm.
big negative outcome, like a nation falling or
Yeah.
succeeding
Yeah.
and conquering, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And your basis for why history, I guess this isn't really the second question, but now a question because you're just going as I'm trying to formulate thoughts.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Go on. That's just, honestly, that was just out of my. I
That
didn't
was,
realize I was doing that.
I mean, again, it almost seemed like mocking off rip, and that doesn't help me think. as a
Oh, my
human.
bad. Go ahead. Sorry.
If your basis of why history is important is because history repeats itself, and I'm taking your side on the argument, and your only presentation is, well, it happened, and it happened again, then do you not see how that like even in itself could be like a I don't know, like a paradox or a looped argument in itself? You're not actually
No,
explaining
I
why
think
that quote's important, other than we don't want nations to fall, but they keep doing it anyway. Do you like, and then
no,
they do it a different way slightly, but they keep doing it anyway.
no. I think it proves my point. I think it proves that there's people like you who don't care about history, right? And that it's
And
doomed to
that's
repeat itself because people don't care to know or care to even acknowledge it. It's proving
okay.
my point, not yours.
Well, see, this is where I guess the disagreement comes in on like what we know about these crazy incidences. Yeah, I feel like if we did know
Mm-hmm.
everything, and you're saying this is where your argument's better, if we did know everything and we had every level of actual accounts for why Hitler did what he did, as opposed to half of it being literally black and white, which is recorded too. We don't know other than the main point that I've already said earlier, right? What else was there
We know
for
his
what?
motives.
No, we don't know all of his motives. That's literally what I'm arguing, and you can't
I didn't
prove
say all of
otherwise.
his motives. I didn't say all of his motives
Well,
either.
I
I'm
am.
saying we know his motives. Yeah, we know his motives. Is there motives that were secret? Maybe things we don't know? Sure. Maybe. Yeah. It's a good conversation. Sure. But I'm saying there's objective truths. We know main motives. We know
Okay,
countries he took over.
do
We
you
know.
know
I mean, we know.
for a fact that those motives that we don't know of, that we both just admitted exist, weren't suppressed by a government or the people that took him down? Do you know that those
Not
motives
denying
were
that.
that
You're taking my argument very black and white. I want you to understand that because that's
you're
not
not
what I'm
answering
saying
my
either.
question. You're deflecting right
I'm
now.
doing it right now. I'm
Okay.
just saying
Hey,
you're taking
Bliss,
it
you
black.
mind if I jump in?
Yeah.
There you go.
Alright, so original. Bliss has a point here. So I agree with Bliss because history history can be diluted. So taking history for face value is kind of falling in a pitfall, pit, or whatever you want to call it, a hole, because as Bliss said, when it comes to history, when like a war happens or like two conflicting nations, the nation that actually takes over or wins,
There's a famous
they
quote.
they write a narrative based on their perspective or what they think is right, and usually the people who lose, they get demonized in every shape or form.
History is
So
written by the winner.
don't
That's why
take
it's
it on
repeating itself.
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
the winner usually tells their story, and the loser doesn't get to tell their side of the story.
Okay. So my argument to both of you, this is the problem, is you're saying my argument is not saying that there could be history that's suppressed. I'm not saying that. I know that. I know that for a fact. We have that with the whole JFK file situation or the Epstein thing. Like all these things are proof that the government definitely hides stuff from us, and there is history that's hidden from us. I'm not disagreeing with that. Okay, so my argument is there's history that is objectively true. I'm saying there is details that are objectively true. That's it. That's the
Like
argument.
what? Give examples.
Hitler existed. I asked him these questions. Hitler existed. That's objectively true.
So
We knew a guy named
Oh, you're
Hitler.
denying Hitler exists, Bliss.
No.
No. He knows what I'm saying. I'm just that's my
I don't know
argument
what
is
you're
that there's
saying. I really
details.
don't. Let me explain why I don't know what you're saying.
Bliss, I asked you these questions. Did I ask
Yeah.
you three
Okay.
questions
So
just like that?
like listen though, you're actually bringing up the argument where you've already agreed that there are sides to this logic that I'm arguing we both don't know, and then you said I agree we both don't know. Remember? That's the objectively true part he's asking for. I feel like. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, guys, okay, again, I agree that there's suppressed history. I agree there's details we don't know. Okay?
Right.
I agree, okay? Get that. I agree.
Okay.
I'm saying there's details though that are objectively true that nobody disagrees with. That's all I'm
I
saying.
just asked you to give examples.
I said Hitler existed. That's a good example.
Bliss said he wasn't disagreeing with that. So
I know.
what's
I'm
your
saying,
point?
oh my boy, is that an objective truth? Hitler existing, is that true for you, objectively?
Yes, but nobody's
Okay, good. That's it. That's what I'm saying.
contesting
That's it.
that though. Nobody's contesting that.
Good. Okay, then. So you guys both agree things can be objectively true. Good. Then
In
there's
history.
no disagreement here.
Okay, so
Okay,
that's like as if we were arguing about the puddle in front of the pond, in front of the ocean, in front of the lake, or the lake in front of the ocean. Like that's where we're actually arguing right now, is the pond.
Yeah, original. You're not tracking, bro. Yeah. You
Bro,
gotta...
I honestly, okay. I'm saying there's details that can be objectively true.
Nobody's
Like Hitler
disagreeing
Nobody
with
disagrees with that.
Nobody's.
Okay, good.
Let's move
That's what
on
I'm
from
arguing
that.
then.
That's
That's what I'm
okay.
arguing.
Well, nobody's
That's what I'm
arguing it with you. So
Bro,
let's
that's
move
what we
on.
were arguing. Dude. You showed up late. That's what we were arguing. What are you
No,
talking about?
that's
Bliss
not
just
true.
said he
Exactly what we were
wasn't
arguing.
arguing if Hitler
Bliss just
existed.
don't change it like you. Yes, we were. That's what we were arguing
No.
about. Things being objectively
Alright.
true.
No.
That's exactly what we were
Well,
arguing
that's
about.
what your argument is, and we're saying we agree with it, and we're over that part, right? We're saying
Yeah, we're over.
that.
Like we're not
Okay,
disagreeing.
good. I just want to make sure. Okay, good then. Great. So you could
All
change
right,
that.
so
we-
move
Things will be
past it.
objectively
Let's-
true.
We're past that.
Let's maybe go forward now.
Wizkid, bro,
as-
you showed up late, dog. You're not even like chill. You showed up really
Well,
late.
no, but
so no, I'm saying the conversation was that.
Am I
was
not
20
tracking
minutes.
Bliss?
He-
Am I not tracking
No, you
Bliss?
weren't
He's been a
tracking
part
at all,
of.
at all.
Okay, so you're
At all.
brother. Let me talk now. Okay, let's breathe a second, and then when I start talking, you don't talk for a second. Okay, he's been
Yeah, take a
here,
chill pill.
brother. He's been here since we started talking about this subject at this point. And what I'm still having trouble understanding is how fucking history is objectively true. On again, I mean, you're not arguing about history. You're arguing about a person of history. What's the point of history repeating itself?
That's what I'm saying.
Wait, what? Wait, what?
I'm
That's
almost done
history.
making my statement.
talking
If you just
about?
keep interrupting me and start freaking out into the mic, dude, before I've even made a question happen, that's not promoting a
Bro,
talk at all.
you're not making sense. I'm sorry. My bad, but you're not making
Breathe,
sense.
original. Just
Well, let me
breathe,
finish my
bro.
fucking
It's not
point.
that
It's
deep.
how you
not that
preface
deep,
a
bro.
question, dude. I'm just
Stop talking.
prefacing the question, dude. I'm not even asking it yet. But I'm trying
Yeah,
to
go ahead,
explain what we were talking about. That's it. Can I get there? Because I haven't got there. And
Yeah,
just
go ahead.
breathe.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
I can go ahead now. I'm good. All right, cool. So basically, we weren't talking about the objective truth strictly of history when it comes to just character figures. We're talking about the deeper underlinings of what actually happened within these situations. And the same way his point, which was super valid in a quote I should have remembered and set off rip when you were like, history repeats itself. History is also written by the winners. Simply put, dude. We're not
Yeah,
just
I did say
talking
that.
about for the last 4 minutes somehow about Hitler existing or not. We're talking about why he did what he did, and most of it not being recognized or shown, other than until recently. And
Good
I'm pretty
point.
sure
Good point. That's
I'm
a great
only
point.
until like 20 fucking years
Nah,
ago
you-
or 15 years ago maybe. I don't think it was super long ago, but it wasn't that long either. We just realized there was a lot of books that had a lot of gender ideology in them that were being burnt. Also in one of these bunkers, I believe was the story, or something that was directly connected to all of Hitler's ownings. Like I think they'd found exactly that, a separate bunker or storage system that had burnt, and fucking just a pile of books that all referred to gender. What they could find in the books had gender ideology around homosexuality and this logic, right? Those books were being burnt and melted in a fire, and this is also found out about the same guy who did mass genocide. All I'm trying to
Yeah, so
argue
in other
and not
words-
defending
oh, yeah,
it,
go ahead, but-
or let me almost done, not defending it and saying it was good that he killed all these people by any means. That's not right, right? But if we only get half of the story as to why he did it, why would they have suppressed that at all? The winners of the
Yeah,
war.
so in other words, original history is mostly written by the victor. The rest gets burned by the people who lose. So is that clear to you? Or
Your
no,
truth
still?
and believability in history,
No, not
just
at all,
looking
'cause
at the
it's not-
positives in
it's-
history is a narcissistic view, I would argue. And that's why I don't believe in all of history. And I could lay
No,
out the
you
points.
actually, it's funny, Bliss, because it's funny how you pretend you don't know what we're talking about right before WizKid showed up, because literally you changed the argument now to a category. You said we're not talking about historical character. We're not talking about historical characters. I'm saying I'm talking any kind of history, dude. I didn't limit it to category. Any history. I'm saying any detail in history, can any detail in history be objectively true? That's it. That's my argument. And you guys are flipping out like,
I'm
well, no,
genuinely
of course, that's
recording
what I'm saying that.
the
Ain't
whole
nobody flipping
conversation.
out. What you talking
I'm
about?
genuinely recording the
they're
whole
not getting my
conversation.
argument. I made it like 3 times. I'm
Okay.
saying there is objective truth. That's
You're
it.
still
That's the argument.
deflecting from the points that I'm talking about now, though. And the whole reason that we're talking about this, which was before WizKid joined, was because of your devout faith in Christianity being reflected on history and the proof in it. This is your biggest argument prior to him
That's part of
joining.
it. It's part of it. Yeah, it's part of it. For sure.
Yeah, that's false too. So.
That's fine. You don't have to
that
believe
was
that, but I'm
heavy.
just saying.
Wiz, don't do
Part of it.
that. Breathe, bro.
Alright, we're not gonna go there.
No,
We're not gonna go
because
there.
that's I don't believe it's right to poop on other people's
Wiz would have a
grave.
good reason. I'll
It's
challenge you
another
on that.
combo.
Wiz, we could talk about that afterwards if you like. I don't care.
Okay,
But
well,
yeah, that's
I don't care.
let's
just get my argument first. That's all I'm saying. Things
Okay.
can be objectively true. That's it. Details doesn't matter. It does not matter the category.
well
Things
again.
can be
Let's
objectively true.
let's step back
I
then.
think
Every-
he's talking about certain specific events, not a specific person or anything like that. I think he means like an event could have been changed or manipulated of how it actually ended up being. Just because of
Exactly.
some-
Well
That's
said.
that's
So
fine, but that's fine. But
Thank
we used World War II as an example, right? So can we
Oh, a
prove
lot of things were changed during World War II. A lot of
that's
stuff was
that's fine.
A lot of
That's-
history.
That's fine, but I'm saying there's details within World War II we know to be objectively true, and
Okay.
that's why I brought up.
Okay,
Hitler
okay.
being
I
Wait,
hear you
no,
keep
no,
saying
you-
that
oh, well,
over and
Hitler-
over
no,
again.
no,
I hear you keep saying that over and over again. Why were we
I know,
arguing
it's not
about
hard to
this?
understand. That's it,
Why?
that's it.
It's not. You're right. So stop saying it. Why were we arguing about this to begin with? Why did we bring up 100 years
Because
versus
I-
now versus what's going on with history being rewritten? What was the argument there? Do you remember that part? Because I
Yeah,
could give it to
because
you.
you keep reiterating history can be rewritten. I agree with you. It's the Egyptians have done this
That's
many
dope.
times. We have historical evidence of that. Like that, we know nations
So you-
rewrote history.
So you
based off
concede.
forensics.
So you concede that if
So you
100
know that. We know that. Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
okay, so
I'm not
listen,
arguing with
listen, I'm
that.
almost done. You concede that if 100 years ago, shit's not even close to being understood correctly to what it was, how is 1,000 years ago with your Bible the same difference?
Well, because we have forensic evidence to prove not to be. That's what I'm
2000
saying.
years.
Okay, so this
If
is
you do
2000.
evidence, if you're gonna search anything, right, you got to have the evidence. What is the evidence gonna point to?
Are you ready for
That's what I'm
this?
saying.
So as soon as you're done, I got you. Are you ready for this? You want sources of the Egyptians showing the water lines on the pyramids and how they were wrong and recently found out that the water could have been there the whole time and against the pyramids and it wasn't rain? I mean, you could do. There's countless
what's your
arguments
point?
of them
Yeah, but
proving
we know,
themselves.
like, why do you think
I'm
we
making
know
the
what's
point.
fake
Hold
and
on,
what's
hold on.
what's supposed to be true?
I'm making the point. I'm almost done. I'm asking a question and
Yeah.
getting that response. That was kind of rude. I agree. That wasn't actually supposed to be a question. I paused and everything. I feel bad and I'm sorry for that. But my point still remains the same. What we did was with forensic, guess wrong. And there's countless incidences of it. We then realized we were wrong and corrected it in the pyramids and other things too that I could probably spend 5 minutes and source multiple different, like the tombs of the dudes being opened up. They thought there was cloth that was in there that was directly related to Jesus. Then said it was wrong.
Oh, I'm not even worried. I'm not even.
That
worried
happened
about
multiple
that.
times, I think.
Yeah, I'm not even worried about that. Yeah, I'm not.
Okay, but that's
Okay.
the
so
point
repeat,
still.
actually, you know what? Then maybe okay. So we're not So repeat my argument. You get what I'm saying? Then.
Yeah,
You get what I'm
forensic
saying, right? You
works
would
good.
agree.
I say forensic
But
works bad.
okay.
I don't agree.
See, do you see what I'm
Okay.
saying? So yeah. So then I don't. So things can't be objectively true in your world. There can't be details that are
If
objectively
100
true.
years isn't even clarified, why would 2000?
Okay, good. So there we go. See, that WizKid, that's what we were arguing about.
No,
You didn't
no,
agree
you're.
with
I
it.
don't
That
know
was
where
the
you're seeking
argument.
help in him. You're saying that forensic are the reason why you believe in this. That's the initial question. Now you're telling me that forensics.
No,
I don't
asked
agree
you,
with.
do
Agree
you
with you,
believe in objective truth? And you said
brother.
no. You just admitted
We're
it. You said
deflecting
no.
the question. Again,
What? What? Give me the question. that you wanna answer.
forensics are what your current argument
oh
are.
God.
That you believe in forensics from 2,000 years ago.
Correct.
I fucking don't for 100.
I do at Alexander the Great before
That's
Jesus.
crazy.
I believe in the forensics for Alexander the Great. Well, I mean, what's the difference?
Where's your proof?
I believe in the forensics for.
I have proof.
I mean,
Where's your
we keep
proof?
going back, Chris. We can keep going back.
Where's
if
your
you want.
proof?
I mean,
I have proof.
I just told the proof that we have of who? Of Jesus?
Yeah, well, again, what's your argument? Why are the forensics real? I say they're not.
Well, because why? What do you think? Why do you think we know who these people are? They're not nobodies. You
Pull
think
up a
these were
source.
unknown people that wrote these stories? What are you talking about? Why do you think it's passed on for a millennia?
You can take
do you
on
mean?
those same characters and ideologies of being truth in that time frame the same way you can. Hitler 100 years ago could have been named Shitler. Remember that part? And you said it was an idiot argument. Do we actually know
Yeah,
Hitler's name was
because I think
Hitler
they live objectively
or not?
true, yeah. That's why I did it.
Okay, so again, let's go back another fucking 500 years. Do we know Achilles, the guy who had his ankle tied off with a string and dipped in a vat of protection water, was named Achilles? Or was his name Ankle Warrior?
Well, what information do we have on him? Is the source valid? Is the evidence valid? That's my point with
That's
anything.
my
anything in
point. None
history.
of the history is true. And there's a good argument
Can't
for it to
trust
not
anybody. Don't trust nobody.
be. We
man.
can't trust 100 years. Why would we trust
Yeah, you see
2,000?
what I'm saying? Like this is weird, guys. I don't
That's
even-
the truth of reality,
Brother,
man.
the really,
True
really,
reality.
really
That's
initial...
That's why history repeats itself, because people like you. That's why it
Okay,
repeats
well, you
itself
can
again.
keep saying
They'll do it
stupid
again.
shit if you want, but
Yeah.
the initial,
Keep believing
initial
anything
argument...
original. Keep believing everything that's fed to you.
Believe in
Correct.
yourself. You're the truth, bro.
Don't
Where
like
that leads you.
a lot of people fall into that pitfall of just getting any information and just rolling with it. That's
not
people
what I did.
Even a
get-
book that
Not how I
was
got through
rewritten
either, buddy.
like 3
So,
times.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't want to shit on your belief in here and go into full depth of why I don't agree with Christianity, but you keep
I
arguing
think we
really bad.
already had in the past.
No, dude, I'm
pretty sure
telling
we had
you, you
some
you keep arguing really bad for your own people. Like a devout Christian isn't you, I would argue. How about that?
That's terrible.
He
Why
said
would
you a
say
fast
that?
food Christian. He said you a
Yeah,
fast
I don't think you know
why? 'Cause
enough
you're getting destroyed
about
in a
your...
debate, so I'm a bad fruit Christian because you're getting destroyed in a debate. That makes a lot of sense.
I don't need the validity of the other people in this room to tell me that I'm winning or losing this debate to know that
I think
you are
definitely because
absolutely
you didn't get my
wrong.
argument the whole time and then you changed it and moved the goalpost like twice.
People
And-
who
and-
interrupt people in the middle of a debate are the ones that are generally losing. How about that? If I can
You
even get
did
a
it many
question
times.
off...
So were you losing?
No, I was answering
you
your
interrupted
question.
many times, and then you apologized for it, but you did it. So what are you talking about?
Brother, I'm saying breathe a second. You wanted me to tell you why I don't think you're a devout Christian? Be honest.
Am I going to hear from a non-Christian why I'm not a devout Christian? Please, I would love to hear it. Please, give me your reasons, because I will definitely take them and work on them. Come on, dude. That's not good either.
Is your faith supposed to tell you to convert people?
You're not in the faith, dude.
Is
You
your
don't believe in it.
Correct. Is your
What are you
faith...
trying to spit Christian theology? You don't even believe in it. That doesn't make any sense.
Are you going to answer the question or keep
You're
deflecting?
supposed to convert people, though, right?
Of course, but we're not
supposed to
having an
save
argument about Christianity. We're having an argument about objective truths. That was leading up to. I knew it was going to get into Christianity eventually, but I'm just pointing to objective truths. That's where we started,
Okay,
and then
well-
it changed over and over
Yeah,
again.
you keep deflecting back to old subjects because you know you're losing this debate too.
Because
right now.
I think you conceded, and then you did it, and then you did, and then you didn't.
I never
I don't think
conceded.
you really can make a decision on
I
objective
think you
truths. I don't think
misunderstood, genuinely. I think you misunderstood my logic to your incorrect agreement that the forensic make your Christianity real. I don't agree with that. And you heard it wrong the first time. That's fine. That's
I
called a
said I was-
misunderstanding.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I want to interrupt you. Go ahead. Sorry, I gotta stop interrupting. Go ahead.
The problem is right now I can tell you that if I was a Christian like I used to be when I was in my early adulthood, part of the logic
Yeah.
was to convince people without a doubt or without with anything you could do. That was one of the strongest beliefs, is that these people all deserve to be saved. And there's guys who walked across desert sands for hundreds of miles to try to find people to save them. Like the devout level wasn't just a conversation over Discord back then. It was people really trying their hardest to reach people. And that's where I would argue your faith isn't that strong, because you're taking your own ego
Well
into
said.
account
That was well said.
harder than you're trying to learn me and try to convert me into like believing my shit's wrong.
Okay, dude. So all the Christians on Discord here, where they have philosophical
Well,
conversations,
don't compare
or
yourself to other
metaphysical
people.
conversations,
That's not how you stand in
they're
godliness.
losing in their devout faith because they're not leading you to Christ ultimately. Are you serious, dude? Come on.
You
We're having a
you
conversation.
don't
about
have the
objective truths.
ability to love yourself in a way that you hold yourself higher than other people. That's also not godly. You compare yourself
never-
to other
did I say
people,
that? When have I
saying
ever said I
you're
hold
using other
myself higher?
people as an excuse for why you're not doing your job better.
I disagree with your arguments. You say that because now I'm somewhat higher than you, some way, like some hierarchy change. What are you
You're a
talking about,
Christian.
dude? We disagree. Okay, we disagree on things. That's what people do.
So,
We disagree on ideas.
We're allowed
you know,
to
we
do
have
that.
our reasons.
But I don't think
Yeah.
that a Christian who's at maybe an older level, maybe you're just young, and if I were to talk to a dude 10 years older than you,
I'm 30 years
he
old.
might
with 4
have
kids. No,
more
not yet.
patience. I think you're
thank you.
well, I mean, you can have kids, dude, and still not have the patience to deal with the conversation that you're not into. Like, it doesn't change the fact that I think somebody with more devout
You
faith...
can be old and not know what the person's saying. You can literally not get what the other person's argument
Well,
is.
that's a
even
good
though he repeats it
excuse
3
for
times.
you explaining it badly, yeah.
I didn't. You try to turn it to categories. You said you brought up Hitler, dude. That's not what we were talking about. Like, dude, any history. It wasn't a category.
Why did I
I'm
bring
making
up
the case
Hitler?
for anything in history. Yeah, it didn't make sense. I don't know why you did it. That was terrible. Like that was a terrible.
What was
like,
the okay?
argument.
So what was the argument? Since you remember so vividly, why I brought that up?
I said
You're
this. I
still
keep
not
saying it, and
answering the question. No, you're not, dude. Why did we go into talking about that? Is the question, not why am I dumb for talking about it?
Because you have because you have a problem with history in general. History
Correct.
can be suppressed. You don't
Correct.
trust
So I
history all the
gave
way
you
fully.
examples of
Okay.
why I don't
I'm
agree with
saying-
it.
Good. Okay. I'm saying yes. You're correct. There is suppressed history. We're finding that out now.
So have
We
I
know.
conceded or
know
you?
stuff's been hidden. Hold on. I didn't finish it yet. I know there's these
I
things where I
don't-
disagree. Is there is details about said history that are true and I think will never be false. They can't be flimsy. I think there's things. It's not categories. I'm saying any category. There's just truths that are objectively true.
Is it because the
we have
winners?
everything we need? for
Is it
certain
just
things.
one more
if I
kind?
step in for a sec as well?
Well, I want to ask one more thing, and then yes, please. Is it
Okay, yeah.
is it okay to say that's because the winners of the war write the history?
I didn't argue that either. I didn't argue that.
That was my
either,
last
dude. I feel
point.
like we're going in circles. I
Yeah,
didn't
because
argue that
you-
either. I said that could
I mean,
possibly
you're
be
failing
true
to bring
too.
up that
I'm saying little
why I brought up my
details,
point.
such as Hitler's name, the opponents, such as.
You want to go in circles, bro? We could go
year,
in circles.
history,
We
maybe
can,
names.
I can
I
go
don't
in
know.
circles,
There's
bro.
things that are
I got you.
objectively true in my
I
world,
asked you.
is what I'm saying.
It took me like 6 times to get you to bring up the reason why I was debating Hitler to begin with. Not because it was a crazy thought or not, but because it was about your question. It took me. I had to ask you this like 4 times just now, like seconds ago, why I'm bringing this up, and every time I did, you're like, "You dumb argument, Hitler." Not even what I'm asking. I feel like the emotional side of this is getting heavy for you, maybe, or something.
Oh,
dude, is
very
all
emotional.
I'm trying
Yeah,
to say.
totally. No, I'm trying to say that it's just it was a horrible argument because yes, Hitler.
Well,
is
I'm getting
part of history,
emotional,
it's just
bro.
history.
I'm getting emotional trying to ask a stupid question, like a basic question, and it's not a smart one.
Bliss, do
You're
you
just
believe things
telling me
can be
I'm-
objectively true? That's it. Is it yes or no? Can things be objectively true in your world? That's it. That's
That
yes
seems
or no.
like we're going in a circle again. Hey, Zol, what do you want to ask, bro?
Oh, would you like me to step in? It's up to you, Bliss.
So bad.
It's up to you, Dylan.
So bad.
Hmm?
Circular
Alright,
thinking.
here's the thing, Original. I understand what you're trying to say, and at the same time, I understand your point of view. But you guys are talking about completely 2 different things. Okay? It's completely. One's talking about something being objectively true, the other one is talking about how some things can be objectively false. And it's not going to go anywhere. This conversation is not going to go anywhere. And if we're talking about the Holy Bible, I do think that there's a lot of things that are factual from it. I do, however, think that with translation, because of how long ago it was, things were definitely changed by accident or on purpose, and some parts of the Bible were removed, just like the Book of Enoch. A lot of things from the Bible were removed by people, right? I'm pretty sure there's a huge possibility that even though there are certain situations that are extremely factual.
Before you say
in
this
any
next part,
religion or any
but wait,
point of view,
before you say
I
this
do
next
think
part,
that
I
there's a
fully
lot of
agree.
situations where people just try to step in and try to remove certain contexts on purpose.
I fully agree with
for their own
everything you
selfish-
said. Everything you said, I fully agree
Huh?
with.
You agree with?
Everything. I even agree with the
Okay,
fact
cool.
that they're good and known, and I mean, even if they're not fact, respectably as hell things about Christianity. Like there's a lot of good and there's a lot of fact there and a lot of objective
I'll be
people.
right back,
facts.
by the way, guys. Hold on.
100%.
What's the point of having this conversation if he's gone?
No, I'm sorry. My wife needs me. I'm sorry. Like she needs me. Hold
Okay,
on,
we'll
give me-
wait. Okay, you can go on, Dylan. I'm listening.
I agree, bro.
Yeah.
I gotta breathe. It's like 10:30 already, and
Everybody just.
I'm so respectful.
And you know what's crazy though? Like you and I known each other for a while. We understand like where we're coming from as well. And here's the thing: I'm Christian, so like this doesn't. It doesn't. I feel like at this point it doesn't matter. Like I've met a lot of Christians that are cool, and I've met a lot of Christians that completely disfollow it but act like they follow Christianity. Like it doesn't. How can I say this? Characterize a person. It doesn't give a person an act like they're their own person at the end of the day. Even with Christianity or not, it doesn't define them. You could have
Yeah, that's a
belief
good
system.
point, actually. That's a good point,
Yeah.
actually.
Like there were times where I knew girls that are Christian but would cheat on their man, like for real. And they'll
Yeah, I
on their
know,
Instagram,
like,
they're
yeah.
confident, and they're like full on talking about Christianity and stuff. And then they'll text me, they'll tell me they don't know what to do. Like it
Yeah, the
doesn't.
most. Yeah.
Probably
you're
don't.
right.
Probably don't be a hoe.
Yeah, it doesn't. A lot of people just put a face on Christianity instead of actually having that Christian belief. Like at the end of the day, I think a real Christian or somebody who believes in God doesn't need to go and judge other people for not doing the same thing.
It's literally against scripture. Was my point.
Right.
It's
I
hard,
agree
bro.
with you.
I want to be like blunt with people and just say exactly. And then there's like so many people who just like need big words too. I feel like to be explained to them at this point, because I've been in this server like 4 days, and like when I was in here last time, everybody just explained shit in this very not rudimentary, analytizer, philosophical fucking level of vocabulary.
Yeah, I hate that shit. I'll be like, yo, just say what you saying, like say what you mean, like don't.
It's
Give me
literally
to run around with all this.
It's like talking in tongue, bro. It's not even real thought. Like at some point, I feel like the only two reasons is one, you're trying to sound smart, or two, you're trying to think about your response. Like there isn't a reason for doing it otherwise. I feel like.
I agree. Like that guy I told you about potentiality, and then another person used, what was it? I forgot. That dude that was about physics and consciousness and stuff. He used a lot. He was like, "What is information?" And he would try to define a specific word. Like, there's people who do that all over the place. It doesn't make them any better as people, in my opinion. And I agree with you.
Bro, I'm just trying to gauge even how to speak to people on this Discord because they're just so like conditioned by that. It's part of my point. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, it's more about sounding smart nowadays than actually being smart.
I'm bad. My bad. I got a wife and kids, so sorry.
Nah, you good. Yeah. So, Original, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm also a Christian, okay? And I could also disagree with some things that you were saying. Yes, I do believe in the Bible. I do think that things are extremely factual in there. However, I do think there's a lot of things that people have pulled out from the Bible from a selfish perspective or changed from a selfish perspective. The reason why is because we actually don't have certain books from the Bible. They're just gone, and there are only pieces of it left. There are so many spiritual books that were burned.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of things that were extremely kept in secrecy. And if we actually talk about not even religion, but just overall any type of people, Hitler literally had a specific group, right? A specific, I forgot what it's called, but it's a specific society that he used to basically find factual elements, or like, what is it called? Artifacts. There we go. Factual artifacts that were from the Bible. And there were some that he found. That is true. That is found. There was like there's an article about it from National Geographic, but at the end of the day, he didn't follow it, and he kept that in secrecy. A lot of people cannot find these type of artifacts now. A lot of things are completely kept in secrecy, and it's not going to be found anywhere else.
Sure.
But you can find it by watching Indiana Jones.
That's true too. So yeah, I would say that isn't. Yeah, I would say that again. I agree. I would agree with you. I think that there's things that are hidden from us, and I think there's suppressed history for sure. Right. I was just arguing that there's facts. There's facts we don't argue with, such as who, the Hitler was a person, or just objectively true things. That's all I was saying. I'm not saying there's facts that are just true. And I agree that I agree everything about the event, like World War II. Sure, there's probably a lot of suppressed things about World War II. We'll never know. Maybe we'll know 70 years from now, like JFK, but we'll never truly know. And I agree. I'm just saying there's details that are objectively true, that are facts. I think there's a lot of those things in history. So that's why history is not flimsy.
There are things.
I think there's a lot of forensics done, and we could talk about the books thing too, by the way. But there's a reason for why those books aren't there anymore.
Right.
The reason why is because people were either afraid of those books or didn't want anybody else to have that power. So they either took it for themselves or they would burn it, just like they would burn witches and stuff like that.
People who
no, that's not true. Absolutely not. So like the book of Enoch. Do you know why the book of Enoch? I mean, you're familiar with it.
It was removed by people. It was literally removed by people. It disappeared and nobody could find it. There's only a few pieces of it left. Everybody else improvised from then.
God didn't take the book out.
We found a piece of it in the Dead Sea Scrolls, but we didn't get a full written until like the 15th century, right? So like medieval times. So the reason
it was fully written, they couldn't find all the pieces. They couldn't find all the pages.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. We only had a piece of the Watchers in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and then the full book was written in the 15th century. We didn't get a full book to the 15th century. Enoch 1.
The full book was not written in the 15th century. John Dee figured out a system in the 15th century off of that book. There is not an actual officialized book from the Holy Bible that's actually still kept with us.
No, Book of Enoch would have been written
from there.
No, Book of Enoch would have been written 4th century BC. It would have been written like 300, 400 years before Jesus Christ was alive. But I'm saying you didn't get a full book of Enoch 1. Like we didn't accumulate a full book until we finished in the 15th century. Like we didn't get a full one. But we found the Dead Sea Scrolls, which date back to that time. So,
Can I pause?
are you familiar? Are you familiar with Apocrypha? Do you know what Apocrypha means? Are you familiar with that term?
Apocrypha? I do not know what Apocrypha is, no.
Okay, so there's a reason why. So they call it Apocrypha story. So this is what I was telling Bliss here, because this is also important to our conversation with Bliss. Is we have there's a lot of studies that's been done on history. This is why I talked about objective truths. This is how we know, when the Egyptians lied or they told the truth, right? If they lost a war, they don't really talk about it, but from other sources in the area, we can find out from multiple sources the
But
Egyptians
how do you know
lost
that's
the
not?
war.
How do you know we just didn't understand what was actually written in the pyramids and stuff? Like, how do we know that's not true? Like, how do we
Well,
know
no,
that's not
I
true?
would. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I agree with, again, that still doesn't disagree with me, because I agree that there's probably things we'll never know or things that we're still trying to figure out, like the whole coil system that we just found. Like, that's weird, right? I don't know. Like,
I
that,
think there's absolutely no way, unless you actually, for some reason, know that language from maybe generations or something like that. There's actually no way of us knowing exactly what's written there. People can make assumptions, but there's no way of actually learning the system, even through an
well,
education.
well, yeah, but you would just discredit every scholar that talks
That's not
about these
true.
kind of
What he
things.
just said is
But
it's
there's
only
no-
a generational logic that would even understand it, and we don't have those. People that are Egyptians
Well,
now
that- of
don't
course.
sit there and claim that they can read it, and the ones that do aren't accepted by those same people you're saying you rely on.
Well, you have to understand that some of these languages aren't really ancient; like they're connected to each other. So, for
I'm
example,
pretty
like
sure Egyptian hieroglyphics are pretty ancient.
No, I agree. They are ancient, but I'm saying
Don't wanna
that
be the
a
other
lot
source
of
guy.
like language and writings they're connected. Like usually languages are built upon another, right? So they have a brother language or a
What's the
sister
proof?
language where they just pull from.
What's the
Right.
proof for
Well,
that?
that's all of history.
No,
that's why like
you're
you have
just making
Sumerian.
claims again.
Sumerians are. So you're familiar with a language isolate? Do you know what that term is? That's like a language that doesn't have a brother or sister. They're like on an
So you
island,
just defeated
right? So
your
there's
own
languages
claim.
like that out
You
there.
just said that there are languages that exist like this, and there's languages that don't.
No, I didn't. That's what I was telling you, was that there are languages. Most languages in the world do have brother and sister languages.
Okay, so
But
prove
there
that.
are languages.
Prove that
Yeah.
the super
You wanna
ancient
go
one
down?
is a part of this
I'm sorry, say that one more
universal learning sister brother language. Prove that the universal language, the ancient one that we're talking about, is a part of this universal connection language that you're talking about, or worldly connection language. How is it not a brother or sister language, or how is it? Can you say that, or can you just speculate?
Like for example, Rabbinic Judaism is pretty old, right? Just like right when the Second Temple fell. But the reason why people can read Hebrew, the old Hebrew or ancient Hebrew, is because the modern Hebrew pulls from ancient Hebrew. That's why
Cool.
we have ancient
Okay,
Hebrew
that's
scholars.
that's
who can read
literally
that.
within the same denomination of people. Can you say this about Egypt, or are you just guessing?
Oh,
You can't say
no, no, Egypt's different. No, Egypt's different. They actually have multiple languages, I think, like
Okay.
that come from Egypt.
Right, but
Around the area.
that's different than what we had thousands of years ago. That's completely different.
Well,
Like,
well,
we had as people
Rabbinic
thousands of years
Rabbinic Judaism was 2,000 years ago, as I was using
Okay, so
as an
correlate
example.
the language
And Russia
argument
and
to the Book of
Ukraine
Enoch.
are in the present, and they both have a language that's extremely similar. But even then, when you look at the actual writing of it, it's completely different. But they speak very similarly. You
Ruben-
can't use that as an identity.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
yeah.
I'm saying, look. I disagree with your argument that we can't know these ancient languages. Now, there might be some maybe that are on an isolate that are very hard to know. The difficult scale is probably it's very, very hard, but I disagree that we can't trust history or books that have been translated from a source book from the millennia ago. I disagree that
Why?
we can't figure out what that book's saying. I mean, that you would just be discrediting all the work that scholars have done for a millennia. Like that's kind of been
They
passed
discredit
down.
each other and their
scholars
own
always done
work on a regular basis, just like they do with watermarks in
on
the pyramid.
beliefs, yes, yeah, on spiritual beliefs, yes, but not like sources, right? Or like not on manuscripts. Like if you find a manuscript, they figure out where to date it. They're not disagreeing on that.
I don't think
That's-
I want
that's-
to take on the argument about the Book of Enoch at all. If this is how you think about this as a language model, even correlating sense, because one set of people identified it. Like, do we actually know even that Russians look at Egyptian language the same way, or China looks at Egyptian language scholars? Those scholars all see it the same way as our scholars? Do you know that?
Well, if they're learning the language, yes. I mean, if they wanted to learn it.
No.
If they want to learn it, yes.
And then
What are you
there's
talking about? If I want to learn any language, I learn it from that culturally.
the
Like, what are you
DSM.
talking about?
You learn it
Any
from the scholars who researched it for you. That's what you just said.
You learn it from scholars who are academically trained on these languages or on this history. That's just what it is. That's how it's always been.
I
What do
just
you
don't
mean?
But they also
agree.
have to have a source where it comes from. They can't just get it out of the blue. It's only possible if it's passed on generationally. So then they could figure it out. Maybe they found somebody who knew the language.
Well,
And even then,
yeah, but everything has. I mean, you're a Christian, you said. I mean, everything has a source. I mean, it's whether or not you trust that source, sure. And it might be details. Again, we don't know. I understand, and we all agree on that. But I'm saying there are things we do know, like, and as we go to 2020, 2030, 2050, 2080, I think Bible evidence is just going to keep stacking up. I think it's just going to keep getting heavier and heavier and heavier. That's kind of what time has proven, So that's why we know these objective truths.
I don't know. I feel like if
But
you
they're
say
not.
objective truths again, I might be over this conversation entirely. I'm going to be honest.
Okay. Now, that's your trigger word.
Well,
it cannot be objective.
Define
if they don't
objective
know how to
truth.
translate it. It's one thing
Yeah.
if it's like a Latin-based language. Latin has been closer to our generation than Egyptian pyramids. It's a lot easier to translate because there's more of a population of people using it. It's used in medicine. It's used in esoteric books that are more recent, like maybe 100 or 200 years ago, but not 4,000 or 5,000 years ago.
I
It's completely
genuinely,
different.
I genuinely think it would be relevant right now, right? We Google the definition of objective truth at this point. I feel like
For real.
Sorry, I've said it
Like-
too much. My bad.
no,
I made it a trigger.
that's
word.
not why it's funny, and I don't know how you're laughing. This is actually a direct
I
insult on
can
your
laugh if I want
understanding.
to, Bliss. I can do it if I want
I
to.
feel like
What
it's
you
a
talking
direct
about?
insult, bro, that I'm trying to hit you with. Cause
Oh,
like,
you hurt your little feelings because I laugh. Really? Come on, dude. It's
no,
laughing. I can laugh.
I don't think you're catching it. I'm insulting you because I don't think you know what objective truth means.
So you don't want me to laugh? I can't laugh at you insulting me. You want me to take it hard? What do you want me to do? Cry about it? That doesn't
Okay.
make sense.
Well, I guess I was confused on that part too then.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I can laugh about you insulting me. 'Cause
Okay.
I agree. I said it too much. I didn't realize it.
Who would laugh on them getting insulted? No offense, but that sounds kind of crazy. It's like getting punched
What
in the
the-
face and you just start cracking up.
So when people make jokes towards you in school, you cried every time, or what? You couldn't take a joke
No,
to
I
response?
talked back. I talked back.
Wild.
I think okay. I'm sorry. You wanted a retaliation? Sure, I could have done that. But I
Yeah,
laughed.
Google objective truth and then tell me it's funny.
Bliss, you're so triggered by objective truth. It's funny. It is funny. Actually,
No,
that's
I
the funny
don't
part.
blame him. That's all you keep saying, and it doesn't make sense with your standpoint at all.
That's why it's not. I don't get.
I
how
don't
you're not
understand
seeing
how. I don't get it.
Exactly.
I don't understand how.
I
This is not
totally
hard.
agree.
It's
You
not
don't
hard at all.
understand. I totally agree.
It's not hard at all.
Holy fuck!
It's
Now
not
we're
hard at
getting
all.
somewhere. You don't understand.
Hey, you don't understand. You absolutely don't understand.
No,
It's
he
funny how we
understands
keep going in circles. We're going in circles because you literally don't understand my arguments. You literally can't. You don't understand them at all, and they're very simple.
Original. Here's the thing. You're saying somebody has to be able to translate a language in a way where it's just facts, basically, right? But it's not just facts because it's subjective if they don't have an actual defined source of where they came getting this from. And it's not easy when it's farther and farther away from our time frame, especially when there's no correlation with that person. So it's not going to be objective if they don't know how to translate it.
Whoa, don't say that word. Be careful.
Okay, I'm
Oh,
not.
no, the
I'm not
problem isn't
triggered by the
me saying it,
word.
I think the problem is you saying it.
Correct. It's 1,000% the problem. You keep saying it and using it wrong, and then laughing about how you think you're understanding what we're saying. I guess I don't. It's not even that it's a
Yeah, because
trigger
what
for
you're
me
saying is you can't.
overall.
We're coming back around to you can't trust history. We're just coming back around to this. So you can't trust history. History can't be trusted.
Yeah, but you're acting
Can't
like that's my
just
only
isolate
argument.
languages.
That's very manipulative what you're doing right now.
Correct.
You're generalizing it.
That's
to something else.
exactly what we're
Correct.
talking about. Do you
It's
see the problem?
not.
It's not hard.
We're talking
Exactly
about
what
your
I'm-
understanding of what you're arguing. And you just can't seem to keep. You keep saying we're going backwards as you go backwards, which literally just
Okay,
feels
repeat my argument
like
back. So repeat what I'm saying. Repeat what
pure
I'm saying then. You know what I'm saying.
narcissistic
This is kind of
deflection
annoying.
of the argument on repeat, or you just really don't understand. Only one
No,
of
you
the
don't
true
understand what
two.
I'm saying.
Like, I really don't agree with it, but I understand it.
Oh, wait, so you do understand it?
he understands what you mean, but it doesn't mean he agrees with it.
Okay, good.
So you
Okay,
have-
that's all I care about. So you understand my argument then. We could disagree.
What?
Everybody disagrees on things, but you understand my argument. You
We
understand what I'm
understand
saying.
what you mean. We just think that it's full of it. That's all.
Okay, good. All right, fine. Then we'll just disagree on that. That's fine.
That is how it
That's all
could
I'm
have been a
saying.
while ago.
I'm saying
You
that
just
there's things in history that are objectively true. That's all I'm saying. Oh, I said it again, by the way. It's me. Don't let it trigger you. Oops.
He's gonna assassinate you, bruh. Careful, original.
I'm gonna run away. Yeah, I gotta run away. But yeah, that's all I'm saying.
I know.
From multiple sources. How do you think they know these ancient languages? Because there's so many ways like people know these things. And sure, you can't prove anything 100% fact. That's 100% true. You can't prove anything. Like that, there's nothing you could fundamentally just prove 100% without question.
That sounds
I'm saying that
like the definition of
I'm
objectively
saying
true.
I'm saying based off of evidence, right? Based off of certain evidence, things can be objectively true. Like certain things can be objectively true. Like Hitler really did exist. I agree. I think everybody agrees with that.
That was literally his point. That was literally his point when I first joined. And then Dylan, now you're talking about Dylan's point.
No, I asked Dylan this. He knows. I asked him before everybody hopped in here. I said, "Do you believe Hitler existed?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Do you believe he killed a high number of Jews?" He said, "Yes." I'm like, "You prove my point then." I'm saying there's things that we don't even have to question. We know those are truths. Now the motivations, sure. Maybe there's motivations hidden. Sure. Did he kill himself? That's also tossed in the air too, because there's not many sources for that. So that could be false too. So
Can I say something if you don't mind?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
I think another good example. I'm just sitting here. I'm trying to like observe everything here. I think better example, like what he was saying is, I would personally go like with the Korean War, how both sides, the winner and the loser, have a different story, and one of those stories have an objective truth into that.
Are you a Christian?
Am I a Christian? Yes.
Okay. Would you argue that the Bible may or may not have some human intervention?
I don't know.
Well,
That's crazy.
Is that
No offense.
okay? So let's not do that. Like, just
I,
in general, I
I
want to
don't
stop.
know because I
that.
mean
Go ahead.
I don't know because I don't really look into that type of stuff. I'm mostly I'll be honest though, I'm mostly here just to observe and listen thing. I find this fascinating.
Of course,
That's
there's
all.
human intervention.
That's why I'm usually quiet.
It's fair.
But
You just don't question your faith, more or less. Can I say that? You just don't question your faith. You believe in all sides of it.
Could you repeat that again?
Well, do you have problems?
Sorry.
I guess let me word it this way. Even is a better way to say it. Do you have problems with any of the beliefs of Christianity, or are you a devout follower?
I mean, I do have problems in like scripture, like usually those problems are like having a hard time understanding.
What are you trying to understand?
I mean, for example, like okay. Oh, I gotta sit up for this. Like, best example I can say, like, reading the book of Revelations. Anytime I read a book, any book, I try to picture it in my head. Do you feel me?
Yeah.
I have a hard time. The book of Revelations is one of the most hardest book I ever read, and it's mainly because how I can picture things. Like how Jesus if you correct me if I'm wrong, or anyone correct me if I'm wrong. If I say something wrong, please do. Like how Jesus got a sword out of his mouth, and then Jesus came again as a 6-eyed lamb, and I just find that a little bit like I mean, it's crazy and it sounds cool, and biblically angels and stuff, and hornet and doomsdays and these big hornet looking guys taking over the world. It's hard to imagine.
What do you think about the dragons in correlation to that thought?
Yeah, that's the only thing I have a hard time with. It's just picturing things.
Yeah, me too, bro.
What's that?
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, that's the only thing I mean I have a trouble with. But I mean I watch YouTube videos a lot. It's like one person's explaining it like it's more at the spirit world, and the spirit world is more than our imagination can imagine. And this is coming from who was it? Paul saw that vision. Am I correct?
I couldn't tell you.
Original. What's that?
I'm planning on reading the Bible. I couldn't tell you.
Here, I can actually look that up right now. But
Wait, what'd you ask?
It was Paul vision in the Book of Revelations, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I figured, but it was Paul vision, seeing the spirit world, which is like beyond our imagination.
No. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about one of Paul's books. No. Revelation. That would have been John. That was John. In prison.
That was John. Yeah, my apology.
Yeah, John was old and in prison at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
the only reason why we know that is because of sources. Just put it out there.
Yeah, he was isolated on what island?
I forgot that one, but yeah.
But yeah, that's the only thing I can have a hard time with. Does that answer your question by any chance?
Yeah. No, it's
Okay.
it's pretty satisfactory for me. I feel like a lot of the same things that I thought were like outlandish with Christianity. Just those super extreme things like this guy's hallucination is in the Bible. Is that correct as to what that specific thing is referencing? John's hallucination from when he was in jail?
Yeah, well, we don't believe that's. Yeah, we just don't believe that's a hallucination. But yeah.
Oh, it's a vision.
It's his vision.
It's a vision.
Right. Okay. So. Yep. I mean, honestly, dude.
So yep.
I'll be honest though. The Book of Revelation is that the reason why it's so difficult for me. It's actually one of my favorite to read.
Well,
that's what a lot of Christians say.
It's also the most I don't know, like drama inducing and there's a lot of things people will say about like that was one of the only parts I read, right? Like fully. And as opposed to the entire Bible. I read all of Revelation. And I don't know, man. I feel like that was also another thing. Like once you get on this board of like, I don't want to accept this thing, it's really, really hard for someone to sway you once you formulate your own opinions about why you don't accept a thing. Right? Doesn't matter what the thing is. That like being said, right? If maybe my advice to your objective truth stuff guy would be like, if you want to come in and try to like convert people into the faith and you're devout about that, and I hope I'm wrong, and I hope that what I said earlier didn't make you offended. I just don't think your convincing of me was super good, right? And that's supposed to be something you guys do work towards, right? You want to help convert people.
Sure,
I'm almost done with my point. So basically my point being that if you would come in here and done two things differently, Rick, remember when you gave the whole long intro about like, do I believe in anything of Christianity, essentially? I believe was what you kind of asked, right? Remember when you first started talking? You were like trying to explain that?
Yeah, I think I asked you if you.
And I responded
to
like, you could have just asked if I had ever been a Christian before.
Yeah,
I said that.
was but I have an argument towards that too. If you remember, I said that wasn't what I was talking about. It's not that. It's more of just truth in general, right? Like, did Jesus exist in general? Is what I'm saying.
Okay, so I guess I don't know that your motive was to come in here and help me see the light of Christianity.
No, it's to have a conversation, dude. Like, if it ends up that if you end up getting closer to God through me, great, that's awesome. But that wasn't my motive. When I hopped in here, my motivation was just to figure out, well, what's the feeling in the room and what are people talking about, and it's kind of relevant because I'm saying that I believe in Jesus through this argument we're having, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know if it ends up you come closer to Jesus, great, all fairness, but that wasn't, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it wasn't just jumping into that.
I still stand by the same thing. If you had just asked for me to know about the rules or the logic you were prefacing even, I still think it would have been simpler to be like that, just were you Christian before? But the same difference being, if you're not even in here trying to like convert me of it, then, my next point doesn't really matter either, I guess. But I don't
Well,
know.
I
I
don't.
just want to
I
say,
gotta.
like,
I mean,
if you're, I mean, still, you're saying the intent is like you don't wouldn't mind if I got closer to God because of your
well, no, I'm saying that I kind of
talk.
just feel the conversation first. Like, what are we talking about? I'm not a evangelist where I hop in and I just say, has anybody heard about Jesus? Let's
Well,
get
yeah,
right into it.
that's
And
where
I
the
just
that's
feel the
where the
conversation.
presentation to me really presented that. It very much in how you said those things initially. I really thought I was about to get a either full sermon or conversion
Oh,
lesson on why my religion is bad type
no,
shit.
it's probably just the way I talk. I'm very high energy and like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then yeah, I don't have any interest in converting from my beliefs for sure.
Okay, that's I figured. You didn't seem like you were budging there, so
Like negative
I kind of
0
figured that.
type number.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
which again, I really mean what I say too. And until it becomes like a debate or we're talking about the reasons why, I won't sit here and tell you your belief's bad. I just will tell you why to me it is if you ask. So I just want that to be very clear. This isn't like a roast of you by any means. It's more of I just don't fuck with it, right?
That's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
I
I just
I
wanted
hope
to
you're not. I know. Yeah, I hope that you're not. But I hope you're also not closed-minded to know that there is people who, the same way that you came to this revelation where you don't want to be a Christian anymore, and now you're on this like Gnostic or Gnosticism type path.
I never
It's
claimed
the same way other people come
Gnosticism.
to the faith. It's the same exact way. Like I might
Yeah.
have felt that way, but I came to the faith instead of the way you did. So
Right.
it's
So
just
I'm gonna
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you this too though. Like I'm trying to understand, at least hear your points on religions and shit. Like overall, like I'm super chill guy. I may not verbalize it correctly sometimes, but like if I were to tell you you're a Pentecostal Christian, right? And just assume that off rip, like you just said, my agnosium, I think was the word you said. Like you're just insisting I'm not. What's that? What? Because I don't claim to be agnostic, and I don't claim to be atheist, and I don't know if you heard that part, but I'm not assuming your gender in Christianity, right? I'm spiritual.
Yeah, Gnosticism is spiritual. That's what that is. I mean, I don't know what.
Gnosticism? I've never heard of that term.
Yes.
The whole time I've
He
known
said
this.
Gnosticism. Gnosticism, not
Gnosticism is, yeah, Gnosticism teaches that physical is bad, spiritual good. Like there's a spiritual realm that's.
Why does it sound very similar to the word like snozberries from Willy Wonka's factory? Like I don't feel like I want to claim that word. I don't fucking like that word already. I've never heard this. Big words are
I
unnecessary.
subscribe to Gnosticism.
Bro, what is
I think
this
you would
word?
too, Dylan. Honestly, Bliss, I think you would too. Honestly,
I
if you looked it
probably
up.
I don't think it's a necessary word though. The same way I don't feel like rudimentary is simple enough. Like I don't think it's necessary. I really don't already.
Okay.
Lehman.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Knowledge is endless and boundless. Like you don't have to categorize yourself.
Knowledge is power.
This guy. Who's this guy?
I respect that you do know a word, I guess, that is so directly correlated with things that I believe. Apparently, I got to look up the word again fully.
Well, yeah, because Gnosticism started to pop out like after oh no, there was Gnostic beliefs before Christ too. Actually, I wouldn't say
I
that.
don't want to
but
hear about the history
more
of it.
Yeah, it's before. It was before Christ.
It
Oh,
was
that's
before Christ and after. Like
cool.
there was a.
Okay,
I think
now
they
I guess.
really started to pop like right after. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know.
It was in the Library of Alexandria. Am I saying that right? I might be wrong.
Wait, what was in the library?
The teachings of Gnosticism.
Oh, I didn't even know there was a book on that. I just know there's
No,
books
that's
that
what
are-
it is. The Gnosticism was basically like a series of writings.
Oh yeah. Then I would agree, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
this,
that's the argument with the Book of Enoch. Like the Book of Enoch,
Nope.
besides the forensic stuff,
Nope.
the Book of Enoch is not.
Uh-uh.
Like, no, I'm just telling, giving you historical context.
Nope.
No need to get crazy.
I don't wanna.
Just saying. I know. I'm just saying that's what people tie the Book of Enoch to. It's kind of like a Gnostic feeling.
hey, WizKid, what do you look?
Oh,
What do
I
you
gotta
fuck with,
read
bro?
Enoch. I gotta read Enoch. What you said?
What do you fuck with, bro? What's your belief or lack thereof?
I mean, I'm spiritual. I'm spiritual.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
If I
Sorry.
could just put it simply, I'm simply spiritual, and I take in all knowledge that basically benefits my spiritual progress. Basically, that's about it.
So I would be spiritual too then, according to both your definition.
You
I'd
are.
be spiritual too.
You absolutely are.
I just attribute it to Jesus Christ, but that's a different. Again, that's just a different subject.
Yeah, because like, I don't even know if Hitler was real, so it was probably that Jesus Christ might not have been either.
Yeah, see, that's wild. That's a wild statement. Do you see that? This is how the conversation started.
Whoa! We were doing super well here, Dylan. What?
You know what I'm saying? No, that's how we started in the first place. That's where it started, and I was like, well, see, that's wild. That's the wild statement. I don't know how
That's
you
how it
get
started. Is crazy. Okay, so anyway, what do you guys think about fucking turtles, dude? Are they cool creatures or what?
No, they don't exist.
Oh, yeah.
100 years
I have
ago?
a pet tortoise.
Say, man, what, Mr. Man?
Oh, I said I have a pet tortoise. I think he's pretty cool.
That's dope.
Oh, I had one too. I had to give him away though. It was really sad.
And sugar gliders, they're hella cool.
A what?
How big's your tortoise?
How big? Hey, how big was the tortoise? How big is the tortoise upstairs? You know how big he is? I'm talking to my girl right now. You don't know? He's like he's like a size of a baseball cap.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's still pretty small then.
Well, just a tiny bit smaller than a baseball cap.
That's brutal.
A lot smaller? Okay. A little bit lot smaller, I guess.
Yeah, mine was the size of like a toddler's play car. Like, you know, like those ones that are have batteries in them. He was big. That dude dug a huge hole in the backyard.
Hell yeah. And the sugar gliders, they're hella cool.
What's a sugar glider? I've never heard of that.
I think they're known. Another name they're known for. They're called flying squirrels. Like they don't fly. They glide.
You own one? Is that what you said? Or owned?
Yeah, we have two. Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
They still fly though.
they you can reach your hand out and they can like glide to you.
That's so sick.
I know they're super cute
So,
little guys.
so you're like your resume says Pokemon trainer is what you're saying.
Yeah. Sugar gliders. Yep.
Sugar glide. Bro, you
Here,
know what you should do? You should train your squirrel to like take iPhone pics of titties when he goes in, and then send them back to you, bro. Like just
Yep.
straight up.
These are the sugar gliders.
Yeah, those are adorable, bro.
Let me-
Dude, I bet you
hold
get
on.
so much pussy just because of that.
Oh my god, you said he had a girl, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, that doesn't stop anybody.
Dude, those are cute as
Yeah,
fuck.
Absolutely. They're
No,
awesome.
even before though. Even married doesn't stop a lot of people, bruh. Like, there's girls I've hit on that are married, and they'll be like, "I'm married." I'm like, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and then you
Like-
whip out a flying squirrel, and they're like, "Oh yeah, never mind, I'm not married."
Game over. I'm
Dude,
in.
it's the ring. Have you guys seen
That's
the one that
wild.
Christian Ronaldo gave to his girl recently? It looks like
Oh
an
my
egg.
god, dead! It was freaking insane, dude.
It looks like
Oh
an
my-
egg.
It was the hugest wedding ring I've ever seen. I sent it to my wife, and I'm like, "Yo, that's insane."
Why would you do that?
No, because I sent it to
Why
her. I'm
would you
like,
do
"Dude,
that?"
you gave her an infinity stone. Like, damn, that's insane. Mine
Yeah,
is
now
skinny.
your wife's
Look at
gonna
that.
expect something like that, bruh.
Yeah, dude, I can't compete with that. Shit.
Oh,
couldn't
bro,
even-
you just set yourself up for failure with that, bro.
You know how many kidneys I have to sell? Oh my gosh. To have something like that?
I know. That's why I'm telling you. Why did you send it to her?
I couldn't even afford it with my own kidneys.
Bro, you just, dude, it's like you never send a girl like a guy who's on steroids, jacked as shit, who's 300 feet taller than you, and be like, yeah, dude, isn't he like a lot like cooler? Like, you don't ever do that. It's the same
You know-
thing you did here.
You
It's
know
like
what she
sending a
did?
picture of
Well,
your ex-boyfriend and being like, dude, don't you miss him? Like, get the fuck out of here.
yeah, no, you know what she did to me today? She freaking I guess she found out one of her classmates in school back in, because she graduated in 2013, so back in like 2010 or something. One of her classmates like went to the NBA and like went to like overseas or something, and the guy had yeah, the guy had like a crush on her or whatever, and she like told me, she's like, I could have been with an NBA player, and I was like, but it didn't happen, so that's But she does we joke like that towards each other, like that's what we do. I don't know.
Are you sure? That does not sound healthy. No offense,
Oh,
bro.
dude, she's loyal. She's loyal as hell, dude. Yeah, we're so like she's the best girl I've ever had. Yeah.
Okay, does anybody else think this is kind of weird?
I'm not gonna speculate.
I
Pleading-
promise you, it's we joke like that, like our
Pleading-
relationships like that.
Pleading the fifth.
Dude, yeah, what the fuck? I'm pleading the fifth as well.
That's crazy. Don't agree with me. That was my line.
Fuck you. Dude, Dylan, I've been on your side this entire time, bro. Don't be a douche.
Hey.
Now
Doesn't
you're saying
mean
pleading
that.
the fifth doesn't exist?
Nope.
Are you guys in a relationship?
Who?
Dylan or Zoe or anybody?
I'm
Dating-
in for
dating
ongoing
right now.
relationships as we speak.
I'm in a dating phase right now, dude.
How's that going?
It's going alright. I got a girl I'm gonna take out to eat. Wait, this weekend? Yeah, Saturday. See how that goes. Black chick. I'm black, by the way.
Hey.
Hey,
Hey,
You already know. You already know.
Hey, you know what you're doing, bro. That's all I gotta say.
That's awesome. Nah, that's
Good
good.
looks, bro.
Where you taking her?
To eat.
You said to eat. Did you say to
No,
eat?
gotcha.
Where else?
He's gonna give him fucking Jack in the Box, bro, and be like, hey,
Yeah, bro,
eat it
McDonald's.
Fuck no.
Quarter pounder, hell yeah. Girl, I love
Quarter
you enough. I'll give you a double quarter pounder, girl.
I like to eat. Don't
No, you
just
just
do
give her,
that.
you just give her fries, no ketchup. Just be a completely terrible human being. Just straight up,
You want to McFlurry, girl? I had a McFlurry there. I'll show you how much I love you.
dude. I saw this on Reddit. Some guy in my undergrad was asking what should I do as a date idea for my girl for Valentine's Day, and somebody wrote spit on her
Damn, I
face.
thought
and make
this
her
is
do
Minecraft.
stuff. I was like, that's
What the fuck?
crazy.
No, I mean this is Terraria. I gotta get on push to talk with this setup so that I'm not interrupting y'all's debate when people talk. Cause I'm on TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube, and if people talk, I'm gonna be interrupting on repeat. So I need to switch that real quick. My bad.
Are you a full-time debater, bro?
Yeah, full time.
Time to meet her.
I haven't debated anybody on TikTok before. It doesn't look fun.
It wasn't. I didn't have a good time. Okay.
Full-time master debater. Let's go.
Can I do it in reverse? Can I bind a button just to mute the mic? That would be doper.
Alright, hold on. I'm gonna hop back on the call. I'm gonna go on my PC though. I'll be right back.
You're a master debater, Emmy.
Dude, I thought you were gonna say masturbator.
Yeah, that was the joke she was making, I think, on the
Oh.
Twitch. She's all master debater, whole statement. How do I do this? Is there a button to mute the mic without having to click Discord on repeat? Via bind process.
Oh my god.
I need a push to mute option. You understand? How do we do that? Accessibility, maybe?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I should have figured this out already. I was thinking about it the other day.
I think I'm gonna head out, but it was nice talking to y'all.
Love you, boo.
What? Ew, that's gay.
He was saying we were in a relationship. It was funny. Calm down.
No, he was talking about us separately having a relationship. I'm talking.
Oh.
Whiz kid, just friend request. Hey, I accept you, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell y'all a secret too. Here's the thing. I also practice spirituality, right? But like, because in my ancestry, the way it works is that I'm Slavic, right? A lot of people have a dual system, meaning they practice Christianity and they practice spirituality separately, or like magic, you could say, and stuff like that separately.
Whoa.
So
I babe.
accept my friend request and send me a workout plan when you get a chance, bro.
Oh, you're asking me for a training program?
Yeah, that's dope.
I mean, I have clientele for that, bro. I mean, if you'd like to make a consultation with me, that you're more than welcome to.
Oh shit, you professional. Alright, my
Yo,
bad.
that's so
Got you.
dope.
I got you.
Yeah.
That response was so hard, honestly.
I ain't know you was professional, but
No, you good. But if you want some advice on how to make your own program, just let me know. Like, I'll tell you what's
Alright.
guidelines.
alright, bet. Let me know, bro.
I mean, we could go right now, actually, on this call while we're at it.
Nah, I'm about to hit the shack, man. It's late where I'm at, dude.
Word, you both are cutting out. I probably
But
ended
it's
here for a
good
bit
talking
anyway.
to y'all, though. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, Wiz, bro, I got you too. I'm at you. Yeah, I like your mutual
Yeah.
interjection that was honest and shit, bro. I hella fuck with that. That was real, bro. It was.
Yeah, add me.
I got you, my guy.
Add me.
You guys have a good
Fuck
night,
that,
alright?
bro.
GG's all. Later, bro.
See ya.
Alright, that's the stream for now. I'm gonna come back here in a bit probably, but I'm gonna call it. It's already 11.